And start. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the November 14th olauloa Neighborhood Board meeting. We'll go over the rules of speaking. And we're looking for the agenda meeting materials. For all the meeting materials that we have here today, you can find that in our Google Drive, which is listed on the agenda. The recording of board minutes can be found to Green County Neighborhood C2559. In regards to our rules of speaking, to ensure the maximum opportunity for all attendees to be heard, the following guidelines will apply. Those joining the meeting are reminded to mute their microphone. Anyone wishing to speak is asked to type their questions if you're online in the chat box, or to raise their hand using the raise hand function in their online meeting platform, which is indicated by a hand, or unmute yourself at the appropriate time as indicated by the chair. If accessing the meeting using your phone and you have a comment, indicate this by pressing the symbol *9. This will show the moderator that the person calling from that number wishes to speak. To mute and unmute your phone, press *6. Please wait until recognized by the chair to begin all comments, concerns, or questions. All comments and concerns or questions shall be 2 minutes or less. Please spoke to help all attendees have the opportunity to hear the presentations and comments. Please place your device on mute until you would like to speak. When you're recognized, unmute yourself and make your comments known. Please note that the board may take action on any agenda item as required by the state sunshine law, HRS 92, which is not noted on this agenda cannot be voted on unless added to this agenda. A 2/3 vote, 5 of this 9-member board is needed to add an item to this agenda. Items may not be added if they are of major importance and will affect a significant number of people. Okay, so we do have a very long and should be a very long meeting agenda today. So board members, in the interest of time, we have our standing rule of comments or questions being 2 minutes in length. Is the board open to moving that to 1 minute to allow for more people to speak?
Yes. I'll make the
Okay, do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second? Okay, any opposition? Okay, hearing seen none, chair votes aye. We will shoot for 1 minute, ladies and gentlemen, for comments or questions. It'll be 1 minute in length. We'll have our timer here. And she will keep that, and I, as the chair, I will come in and let you know when it's time to summarize, to wrap up your comment question. As a note for everyone here, please, we practice civil discourse here. We ask for decorum, no derogatory terms. I know people may be heated or passionate about their opinions, and that's fine. But we ask that there be no pointing of fingers, derogatory terms. We want to have a non-hostile environment where everyone can come and share them out their opinions. And we want everyone to have that opportunity, not feel intimidated. And in regards, some of you may agree with some of what have been said. We ask that there be no clapping just so that we can keep this environment non-intimidation free, I guess, so that everyone has the opportunity to share their comments. From the committee here, we have a first round, we have our questions coming in. If allowed an opportunity to ask questions to speak. After that, we can do a second round or third, depending on how much questions or comments you have. We also ask that you please keep, if your question is redundant, if someone is not answering the question to you, I think please don't ask the same question because we're not going to change the answers. So we have to ask the right questions. That's the whole point, to have questions so that we can get a variety of perspectives. So with that said, we'll start in our agenda. We have our city and state monthly reports. Oh, before I start, members of the board, Senator Awa has asked that he be moved to the beginning of the government reports. Does anyone have any objections to that? He has a prior meeting and he would like to just be moved up the front. Okay, no objections? Okay. All right. Now we move to our monthly reports. HFD. If you are here and please come to the front. This is the main microphone. You can use the one over there. Up to you. You can sit.
Captain Ryan O'Keefe from the Olauloa Fire Station. I'll be giving you October stats for the olauloa area, which includes the Congo Fire Station, Olauloa Fire Station, and the Kruko Fire Station, as well as our fire safety tip for the month.
Okay, sorry, could you speak up just a little bit louder for the members of the group?
This is for the TV. So for October, reported 1 structure fire and 6 nuisance fires, which include ravage fires, Like, we reported 36 medical calls, 5 motor vehicle crash collisions, 2 ocean rescues, and 1 hazardous materials incident. So our fire safety tip for the month of October or November now would be kitchen and cooking safety. So cooking is the leading cause of home fires. Protect yourself, your family, and your neighborhood by practicing these prevention tips. Stay in the kitchen while you're cooking. Do not leave cooking unattended. If you must leave the kitchen, turn off the stove. Keep items such as oven mitts, wooden utensils, towels away from the stovetop, even if the stovetop is off. Never store items on top of the stove or on the cooktops. Keep a lid nearby to smother small grease fires. Smother the fire by sliding a lid over the pan and turning the stove off. Only plug one heat producing appliance such as coffee maker, toaster, etc. into one outlet at a time. And create a 3-foot child and pet-free safety zone around your cooking area. And want to follow up on a couple questions from last meeting, I guess. It was reported there was a structure fire in the Kufu area, but a correction was made, it was in the Laie area. But it was reported in the Kufu because Kufu covers that particular area where the fire was. And there's also another question regarding unauthorized burning. So unauthorized burning is illegal per State Department of Health Clean Air Branch laws. You need a permit if you want to burn. And the only reason you can really burn is to cook food, ceremonial purposes and other things, but you still need a permit. So if anyone, any more information on that, you can visit HFD's website at fire.honolulu.gov.
Thank you very much. Questions for Captain Aoki? Okay. Board members online. Members of the public here in person, do you have any questions for Captain Aoki from HF?
I have one question.
Yep.
Here in Honolulu, we're trying to revise the CERT program, and we want to make part of the training, fire suppression part that usually happens down in Diamond Head. We want to keep it local. We're trying to encourage the CERT participation. Is that something the local fire station can help us do?
Yeah, like that kind of request, because it involves a free walk shields and a bunch of different guys. We asked you to go through our administration. I think you visit our station.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you can go through our administration, we have a good website with question and answer sections and requests. That'll be the best place to pursue that.
Okay.
Fire.honolulu.gov, and there's a request button on the bottom. You can submit your request. Somebody will get that.
So
Yep.
yeah.
That question right here?
You suggested that to me when I asked you that question before, and I went online and they said, sorry, can't do anything until after Christmas.
Okay.
So it takes a very long time. And if there's any way you could help us out here.
Yeah, so whatever question you guys ask today, I'll send, and we have a liaison now that responds back, so next meeting, they should be replied.
Guy wouldn't even give me a date, you know, and I talked to him and everything and told him why, and so
I'm not sure.
we'd appreciate any help we can get.
Yeah, I'll send it in.
Okay,
Send it in.
thank you.
Okay, any other questions from members of the public here in person? Okay, I'll go online. Any questions from members of the public online? I see Casey Connor, your hand is up. Please proceed with your question.
Yes, thank you so much. Can you tell us anything about the traditional pathway for rescues to Laie Point? And if it's the fire department that should talk to HRI about keeping that some of those lots open so you can do the rescues, or should we ask our what is the procedure? Because that was traditionally opened and now it looks like HRI wants to build on some of those lots. They're like the 70 unit duplex and multiplexes, so you won't be able to get through to rescues on Laie Point. Should we ask you, the mayor? How does that work to keep that open?
I believe it's a private owner, we'd have to trying to make arrangements if they'd allow us to go on. nature, I usually it's pretty receptive to us if we need to hear something. Worst case scenario, we'll cut a lock or we'll cut a chain just to get in. But we no longer have a ski system in the fire department, so we primarily use that area to launch our jet ski. Right now, we would go up, up Parker Street and use the right of way, the stairs right there. Or go to the point and jump off, which is what we normally use. As far as accessing the area, I believe it's a private owner for that particular spot, at least it just allow us. From my end, I'm not sure how you can make somebody let you use their property. We can try to follow up, see if we'll get access to the area in the future. But for now, we just make do with what we got, the right of way out, pop-ups. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any other questions from members of the public online? All right, seeing none, thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
June has a last minute question.
Hello, thank you for your service. I live at the point next to the jump out
Yep.
for over 40 years. And outside, so Eagle Scouts have made a lot of rescues as well. What KC Corner is talking about is that for decades, Lot 54 right at the beach, that's when they go, you know, the 3 steps, yeah, 1, 2, 3 down there is a long step. That corner lot, there, lot 52, has been a staging ground for the emergency services for decades and decades. And I see where you're coming from, that you cannot force them. But we, from our standpoint, is that our protection is that they are going to put 74 homes along the beach. They have 16 lots. The density is not higher. And so we are thinking that we want to plan for the next 7 generations.
Okay, wrap it up,
And
June.
when we close that up, time is of the essence. You know, I've seen you guys jump down there from,
Wrap it up, June.
but you cannot do it with a jet ski. You cannot throw a jet ski down.
Thank you, June.
You just have to know the area and go to another part.
But anyway, that's the website of that is called, I will share on that, citizens. Notice that.
Okay, thank you very much. Do we have any other questions? Okay, looking back online, I don't see any. Thank you very much. We'll see you in the meeting. Moving forward with our agenda, HPD. Thank you, please proceed.
All right, good evening, everyone, board and members of the community. My name is Lieutenant Ataglia with the District 4 district. I would also like to introduce Sergeant K.I. Omar. He is the sergeant in charge of this vast area of olauloa. I'll go over some stats. Motor vehicle thefts were 1 this month compared to the previous month of 1. Burglaries were 6 this month compared to the previous month of 1. Atomic thefts were 8 this month compared to the previous month of 12. On our car break-ins, we had 3 this month compared to 3 the previous month, and we had 0 robberies reported in this area. Just like to say that upcoming is the holiday season. If we can all watch over each other. If you guys see anything out of the ordinary, by all means call 911 and we'll address your concerns. Other than that, any questions? We don't answer any questions from the board.
Questions from board members?
Well, it started. Yeah, he's last.
Oh my.
Any questions from members of the public here in person? Yes, ma'am.
How are the speed bumps impacting your guys' response times to emergency? If there's 18, you're in one place and,
It does, we slow down, we have to slow down, our cars will get severely damaged if we go over that. But we're still able to respond, I think it doesn't affect the response time.
it has to, slow down.
Yes, yes. It went off just a little, but I don't think anyone's in danger.
If someone has had a heart attack,
I've driven over those humps.
yeah, some people say, well, I remember the.
Thank you.
Any other questions from members of the public here in person? Okay, we'll go online. Catherine Heath, I see your hand up. Please proceed with your question.
I had one question. Are the police to have their lights on when they respond to a call?
Yes, it depends, well, flashing light, it depends on, if it's
Lights
a
on,
car-
period. Just period.
Yeah.
Are the lights to be on?
They should have them on. Yes, they should have them on.
If they do not have their lights on and 3 officers respond to a call and they do not take any names and do not take a report, what is that called?
Depends on
This
what kind of
happened.
case.
This happened. We called HPD, myself and my neighbor, for invasive individuals. 3 officers showed up, no lights on. Asked to speak to the officer about a rather abrasive woman who was intruding on my senior neighbor's property. It's under some dispute. And they never even, they left before these invasive individuals did. It was a very disturbing incident. It occurred midday on the 20th of October in Hau'ula. And
I'm not familiar with what call that is, but if anytime you're unhappy with the service you receive from the police department, feel free to ask for a supervisor and they will come out and address any complaints you have.
Well, I wanted to first know if lights were meant to be on. I found it distressing that they were not, and that when I asked to make a report, they drove away before I was allowed to do so. It didn't make me even feel like I would be welcome up at the police station. Sir,
Well, we welcome everyone, ma'am.
I'm saying that's not how I felt afterwards, though, if that's understandable.
We'll pass that information on.
Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate your answer.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Any other
Let me
questions?
just clarify something.
Sure.
If nighttime, they're not required to have the lights on, but nighttime, yes, we require to have the lights on.
Any other questions from members of the public online?
Yes.
I noticed online how the
Oh.
class,
Sorry, I was just checking online first, because we moved on. So if you have a question and I asked it during the people here, then please ask it.
definitely.
Okay, I don't see anyone from online, so we'll go back. There you go, Shun, go ahead.
Yes, ma'am.
So nowadays, like there are cars that have their license plate on the back, but not in the front. So when you're driving, you know, if you're told daily, and you look in the mirror and you cannot see any license plate, you just there's none. Is that a new thing?
I don't know if it's a new thing, but the vehicles are required to have a button like that.
Front, back, yes, front.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I think the city, new vehicles, but we don't front, license plate.
Well, we'll pass that information.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea to front and back.
Yes, they're supposed to have. They can't pass the safety check without a front and like back license plate. So I don't know how they're passing the safety check. They don't have a front license.
It's good to know.
Any other questions from members of the public in person? I'll go back to online real quick. You don't see it? Okay, thank you very much. We'll see you
All
next.
right, we'll have.
All right, we'll be on in our agenda, United States Army. Do we have anyone here in person or online?
Hi, I'm here for the United States Army. Are you able to hear me all right?
Yes, yes. Please proceed.
All right, sorry, I was trying to get my camera working. So we have a couple quick announcements for November. First, the U.S. Army Garrison Hawaii has a hiring fair happening on November 19th at Aliamanu Military Reservation Gym from 8:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. It is open to the public, and they will be potentially making job offers there. There are business operations jobs and child youth services jobs that will be available there for anyone who's interested in those. Additionally, U.S. Army Garrison posted their training advisory. They have daytime aviation training on East Range from 1 to 7 November. That is strictly during the daytime. However, they have day and night live fire, artillery, and mortar training from 4 to 27 November. including late evening and early morning hours. And they have demolitions training during the day and evening hours of 16 and 17 November. Also, we'd like to invite everyone to come down to the Waikiki Holiday Parade on November 29th on Kalakaua Avenue. We will be participating in that. And then we also are having a Pearl Harbor Remembrance Ceremony on December 7th at the Pearl Harbor Visitor Center at 7:45 a.m. And there will be another ceremony at Fort DeRussy from 4 to 8 p.m.
Okay, thank you. Do I have questions from board members for the United States Army? Okay, questions from members of the public for United States Army? Okay, questions from members of the public online? Any questions for the United States Army? Anything in the chat? Okay. Who's this? Go ahead, Atalina.
Hi, I have a question. I know the VA van would always come before to like Laia Shopping Center. I was wondering if we could have information on if the VA van is still coming around, or who do we contact if there are veterans in our community who need services?
I do not have information on that directly. However, besides contacting the VA themselves, I can give the contact information for U.S. Army Garrison Hawaii. I can put it in the chat, or if you want, I can give you their number right now.
That would be great, mahalo.
You want it in the chat?
Yes, please.
Yes.
Okay, I'll put that information in the chat. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Andrea, I see your hand up. Please proceed.
Yeah, what of these things closes the motocross track in November? Is there a closed, dates for the motocross track in up above Kahuku?
I don't believe they preemptively have dates for that being closed, but if you have any concerns, that again can be sent to U.S. Army Garrison Hawaii, and I'll make sure that email and that contact info is in the chat.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other questions from members of the public online? In person? Okay, thank you very much. We'll see you guys next year. Okay, moving on to our government reports. Yep, we have Senator Wall. Please proceed.
Thanks. First thing is the easiest. I'll bring some people joy over here, especially the 9,000 plus that voted for Ben Schaefer. So if everybody could give a hand to the person who ran and gave other people a voice. The Senate. Official form. He did his part right in the process, because had Ben not run, those 9,000 people, maybe they feel like we really don't like that other guy, and we wouldn't be able to work with them. So by giving them an opportunity now, maybe we can cross that bridge and work. So thank you, appreciate it. Secondly, in our office, I'm not take long in our office. What we're doing right now, I became the minority leader. What that means is we have more resources to take care of more things. One of the things we're going to do is get an attorney. Another is communications. We hired Mark Taliai on Instagram. He has 400,000 followers roughly, and we're going to use that platform to get a lot of what's happening on the day-to-day out to you guys, to as many people as possible. That's number two. We can go on and on about that, but I'll just make it pretty brief in my comments. The third part, this is the one that I don't like to do. And I notice everybody over here, there's a lot of you guys. So this is no disrespect to you folks. I know you guys know where we stand on this. When I say our stance, we don't support the project. I think most people know that. And the reason being, it's not because it's from the outside or the people that are on the team or anything like that. What it is, we protect the state's model. And we don't feel, for many reasons that, for Q&A, if you guys want, we can discuss, but I don't want to really get into it in the speech. But for many reasons, we don't believe that this is righteous for the land. So I'll leave it at that, but we just wanted to make that, again, no offense, but there is another side to represent that. Thank you.
Questions from board members?
Senator Owa, as you talked about that, I couldn't help but think about the 1,000+ acres of ag land that was sold to an off-island developer in Dole. And so my question to you and other elected officials is, we're here tonight and we're spotlighting one, but what are our elected officials doing to preserve the rest of the land from this happening? We're holding Oreste accountable. My question is, what are we doing to stop this at our state level so that, because Hawaii is being bought out by outside developers. And so to me, the issue is much bigger. We're losing our ag land and that's happening and nothing can be done. And many are not as transparent as the Orestes have been. So that's my concern.
It is our number one priority in January. We'll show you guys that. Again, I don't want to take up all the time over here. I want to let you guys do your presentation. But if you follow us in January and if you've been following us, what we're trying to do, that is our number one priority.
Thank you. Thank you.
Other questions from board members? I'll go online. Questions from board members online? Okay, questions from members of the public here in person? Sure.
Can I speak now?
Go, please proceed.
Great. I noticed that Senator Alomar, you had actually proposed a legislation, which actually should be at the federal level about trying to contain foreign investments in Hawaii, because that's certainly a big part of the problem. Now that the elections have changed and there's a huge movement to put the country first, may I suggest that you also work with the national level, because your concept of protecting national sovereignty and also protecting in foreign countries from just buying up farms and forts and mountains and valleys and everything else is a very important one. So can we count on you to use this opportunity at this time to go on and promote that? Because no other country have a porous nation like the United States.
I can answer real quick. June, it can be done on the state level. Again, and this is not an opportunity based on you folks. It's actually, this would be foreign, right? But when we talk about the ag lands around military locations, we can do that ban at the state level. 41 other states have already done this. We will work with the administration now on the federal level since it is in our favor. And we have certain people in there, but we're doing all we can. There ain't nobody doing more than us on this one topic.
Okay, other questions from members of the public in person? Okay, we'll go online. Casey, I see your hand up. Please proceed with your question.
Yes, thank you and congratulations. Two quick questions. Would you possibly help keep the vacation rental companies, the big ones, Airbnb, Booking.com, and VRBO in line? They're renting for less than 30 days and they're not paying their taxes. Is it possible to get the state to go after them? It is possible. Would you help us to get the state to go after these big companies, because they are breaking the law and they could be fined big penalties like they have in other areas? And secondly, several years ago, most everyone from both sides of the aisle supported the U.S. Attorney Kenji Price when he was here in Hawaii and he went after so much of the corruption. As a Republican, can you help to make sure that we have a great replacement, someone else like him or him, that will actually go after the corruption here? And I was very concerned with things to see, like DPP gave special a special favor to Blackstone with this Turtle Bay. And that was a big concern to me. I would love someone with a lot of
Please.
intelligence to go after them. Thank you for checking into that. Mahalo.
Thanks, Casey. To the second point with Kenji Price, yeah, when he was here, responsible for putting 2 lawmakers behind bars, we totally support people in the administration who could do that. That's above us, but if we have the conversations, yeah, we can talk about that. Back to the first, with the vacation rentals, a couple boards ago, we came here with an idea. If you reach out to our office, we can inform you of how to get involved in that if you'd like to.
Mahalo.
Thank you. Joan, I see your hand up. Please proceed with your question.
Okay, I'd just like to know how you're feeling about the development out at Turtle Bay. The grading of land already without the full permit, without the consultation to our neighborhood boards before. I'd like you to tell us how you might approach something like that.
Yeah, Joan, we do not support it, but we are here, like I said earlier, to hear from the group. Thank you.
Thank you.
What kind of answer was that?
Thank you. Moving on, any other questions from members of the public online? In person? Okay, thank you very much, Senator.
Thanks.
See you next year.
Mahalo.
Okay, moving on in our government report. Kat, I believe you're online for Representative from Mayor Rick Langiardi. Please proceed with your report.
Hi, good evening, everybody. So I'll start off with a couple announcements, and then Pane, I guess I have 26 responses to questions that were asked at previous meetings, primarily relating to, the lane widening as well as the Turtle Bay development, all from DPP. I want to be mindful of your agenda, and I understand Turtle Bay is there. So I guess let me know how you'd like me to proceed with those 26 responses. If anything, I can ask maybe NCO to circulate the written responses so that people can still get the content. But think about it while I read the updates from Mayor. Okay, so this month's highlights from Mayor's newsletter. So there's going to be more information on the city's proposal to raise sewer fees for the first time since 2016. They are recapping an incredible Pride Month in Honolulu, including Mayor's appearance in the Pride Parade. There are details on the updated flood maps from FEMA and what it could mean for homeowners. The remarkable true story of an open ocean rescue featuring an Oahu student athlete and city first responders. And the last update is that a popular park and baseball field in Waipahu opens after $4 million in repairs and upgrades. The 2024 November edition of the Mayor's newsletter can be available online, and I'll drop the link in the chat. The second update is from the Neighborhood Commission. The Neighborhood Commission's Neighborhood Plan Committee began meeting to conduct a comprehensive review of the neighborhood plan. A presentation with more information is available in your board's Google Drive. The committee currently meets on the third Monday of every month at 6 p.m. If you have questions, please contact NCO.
Okay, thank you, Kat. Board members, so she had 26 questions and responses from last week. This is going to take her over her 3-minute allotment. If you guys want to waive that to allow her to answer those 26 questions, I will leave that up to the board.
Put it in writing so we can read the response.
Okay.
Be available for the public.
Okay. Second. Okay, any objections? Okay, reservations? Okay, did you hear that, Kat? They would prefer you just put it in writing and send it to us.
Okay, I'll work through NCO to get it to you.
Okay, thank you very much. With that, questions from board members?
So her response, could it be as a link in the minutes so that everybody can have access?
I can do that.
Anson will do that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So questions, board members for Kat? Okay, questions from board members online, Selena? Okay, do I have questions for the mayor's representative from members of the public here in person? Okay, we'll go online. Casey, I see your hand up. Please proceed with your question.
She said that in those 26 answers, some of them were related to this Turtle Bay issue. Are there any that are relevant that should be?
I'm sorry, I'm not clear. How are we supposed to ask a lot of the questions to Turtle Bay if we do not know DPP's response? So I would really ask the board to think about that. How we don't know how to ask the questions if we're being redundant or if we're asking fresh questions because we don't know what DPP is responding to. So this is very hard to perceive for us without those.
Okay, let me share the answers. Let me share the answers.
Or any for Turtle Bay.
So basically, the board has made a decision that that Kat's answers would be in writing, which would be put onto our Google Drive, which is open to the public. Everyone has access to that.
Can we
That
have
link
access to it now before Turtle Bay talks? Because that's, we need to hear that before Turtle Bay and before we ask questions of Turtle Bay, or we're redundant, or we don't make
Thank you.
correct
So
questions.
I guess board members, the public is asking that we reconsider and allow Kat to do the 26 questions. Do you guys want to do that, or you prefer to keep it in writing?
Can I just?
do the question on Turtle Bay.
Okay, questions on Turtle Bay?
Just
Okay,
specific,
so I need a motion to amend the motion. So motion to just have Kat report on Turtle Bay questions.
just the Turtle Bay and what DPP's responses are with regard to Arete. That's my motion.
Second, any concerns, reservations? Okay, chair votes aye. Kat, can you just do the Turtle Bay questions?
Yeah, I'll try to excerpt out the ones that would be helpful. Okay, the first question was, resident Connors asked if there's any updated EA or EIS for the new luxury condos planned at the Turtle Bay development. DPP's response is that they have not received updated environmental documents for the new residential development at Turtle Bay Resort. A supplemental EIS was approved in October 2013, which identified the resort residential use on the subject area. Potential environmental impacts were considered under the final SEIS, and DPP found that the project is a component or is substantially similar to the action proposed in the final SEIS. It is anticipated to have direct, indirect, and cumulative effects similar to those analyzed within the range of alternatives in the final SEIS, and was analyzed within the range of alternatives in the final SEIS. Therefore, the resort residential project does not require an additional EIS. There was a question as to whether DPP can delay the progress of the project at Turtle Bay until the community has had the opportunity for public input as allowed under the Sunshine Law. DPP's response is that construction plans were approved on May 6, 2024, and the grading permit was issued on May 2022, 2023. We do not collect public input during the review process of construction permits and building permits. The next question was for an update on the status of the Turtle Bay Development SMA permit. Why hasn't there been an update since 1986? Can the mayor direct the city council or DPP to create a public input process for the SMA permit? DPP reports. The Turtle Bay Resort Special Management Area major permit was approved by the City Council in October 1986. The SMA permit approved a master planned project over the entire resort properties that was significantly greater in intensity and density than what is currently proposed. The new resort residential proposal includes the development of an area identified in the SMA permit as a resort residential site. Additionally, the supplemental environmental impact statement was approved in October 2013 and identified this parcel as resort residential use. As they're reiterating their responses, which I just read to you, and they said that potential impacts were considered under the final SEIS, and DPP acknowledged that the project is of a lower density and intensity than what was assessed in the final SEIS and permitted in the SMA permit. On July 8, 2022, DPP made a determination that the development of site RR3, the resort residential project at Turtle Bay Resort, was assessed in the supplemental environmental impact statement and permitted in the 1986 SMA major permit. This determination was published in the environmental notice on July 23, 2022, and I can drop a link to that, to the environmental notice from that date. New SMA major permits would undergo a review process that includes posting the SMA application on the DPP public input page and hold a public hearing that would be scheduled within 21 days, but no more than 60 days after the acceptance of the application. Prior to submitting the SMA major permit application to the DPP, the applicant is required to present the project to the neighborhood board. Okay, there was a question, let's see, Member Unga asked if DPP can implement a new policy to be put in place for an expiration date for permits. For example, if the developer gets a permit or EA, they have to build within a specific time period, perhaps a year. Some developers are allowed to pick up and build based on the UA or permits that are 15 to years old. DPP responds, for actions that require an SMA major permit, the council usually imposes a condition that requires the applicant to obtain a building permit for the approved project within 3 to 5 years after your approval of the permit. Failure to obtain construction and or a building permit within this period will render the permit null and void. This period may be extended by a year with the approval of the DPP director if the applicant demonstrates good cause for the delay, and the deadline can exceed the 1-year extension with city council's approval. Unilateral agreements run with the land, and to amend or modify a condition would require city council review and approval and a new ordinance. A new policy is not needed as the DPP already has the ability to recommend deadlines or specific periods as part of UA conditions when deemed necessary, but ultimately the city council has the ultimate decision-making authority. There was a question as to what CCSR's role is when advising DPP relative to the Turtle Bay. Do you want to hear that, or is that something you'd prefer to have in writing?
CCSR, please, what is that?
The Climate Change, Sustainability, and Resilience Office.
Please read that.
Okay. The member's question what the role of CCSR is in the permitting process and advising DPP when reviewing environmental impact. Why isn't CCSR advising DPP on the Turtle Bay development, and why are some homes being built so close to the ocean side? CCSR's response is, CCSR is a small city office with a broad mandate described within the charter and further within an ordinance, which I can drop the links to. While CCSR works collaboratively with DPP on issues related to climate change and sea level rise, including coastal erosion and shoreline setbacks, we are not a regulatory agency as DPP is, and are not responsible for reviewing the compliance of individual development proposals. Recent policies related to shoreline issues where CCSR worked collaboratively with DPP on shoreline issues include Ordinance 23-3 relating to shoreline setbacks and 23-4 relating to SMA permits. I'll drop a link to their website. Let's see. So that's the first document. Let me pull up the second one. One moment, please. What else is related to Turtle Bay? Okay, there were concerns about the Turtle Bay Resort redevelopment. Years ago, the UA was recorded against the land development, and a lot of places are restricted. Does DPP have institutional knowledge regarding the UA? Some of the land is being cleared in violation of the UA. DPP's response is, similar to the SMA and shoreline setback variance permit conditions, the UA requires specific development and design standards, including a 100-foot wide shoreline easement area to maintain open space. General height limits must comply with the olauloa development plan. All structures must be generally set back a minimum of 300 feet from the certified shoreline. Structures located within the 100-foot and 300-foot from the certified shoreline must get design review and approval from DPP. Only certain structures are allowed between the certified shoreline and within 100 feet of the shoreline, including pedestrian bridges, walkway or other access improvements, drainage improvements, park benches, showers, or structures that may be required by state or federal agencies, and design standards as approved under the Master Urban Design Plan and Landscape Plan. This includes building massing and configuration and landscaping to enhance the area. Okay, there was a question as to whether the new owner of Turtle Bay Resort would need to reapply for its permits and building permits. Do these types of permits need to be presented to the city council or neighborhood board? Is it necessary for them to have to come before the community through public hearings to transfer those permits to the new owner? DPP's response is that per revised ordinances of Honolulu, section 18-5.6, transferring building permits requires city council approval. The new owner of Turtle Bay is not required to reapply for land use permits that have already been approved. So no presentation to the city council or neighborhood board or public hearing is required. There is a question, who makes enforcement decisions for DPP? Who will be responsible for ensuring that the new development of Turtle Bay Resort will be in compliance with DPP's regulations? DPP responds, the DPP will review any submitted permit applications for compliance of conditions under the UA and SMA permit and shoreline setback variance. The building permit application will be routed to the respective divisions, for example, the Planning Division and the Land Use Permits Division, for review. The Building Code branch monitors that all work done under the approved building permits follows what has been approved. There was a concern raised about Turtle Bay Resort clearing of vegetation along the shoreline. How does the community know if the clearing was permitted? How is DPP monitoring the clearing of vegetation near the shoreline? DPP's response is that no clearing of vegetation along the shoreline is allowed and would be enforced by the State Office of Conservation and Coastal Lands. Within the property, grading and grubbing permits must be obtained for any clearing of vegetation on the site. Any clearing within the 100-foot shoreline setback will require only a grading and grubbing permit, since an SMA permit and shoreline setback variance permit was approved. Okay, does the UA prevent or enhance the new owners of the Turtle Bay Resort's ability to obtain a building permit or build in certain areas? Can DPP come and inform the community about what the UA and the 2015 conservation agreement state? DPP says that they responded to the first question, but the second question, the 2015 conservation easement transaction sold or leased portions of the Turtle Bay Resort properties to the state, approximately 600 acres under a conservation easement, and to the city, approximately 8 acres as a future park. The next question was, is it reasonable for the community to request that Turtle Bay Resort do a supplemental EIS in addition to the already finished SEIS? DPP's response is that a determination has been made that a supplemental EIS is not required for the proposed resort residential project due to the significant reduction in current development size from what was approved and included in a previous EIS. And those were all the questions related to Turtle Bay.
Thank you very much. Okay, we'll go to questions from board members. Okay, questions from board members online. Okay, questions from members of the public in person. Joe, please proceed.
So based on what she's saying is that the climate change office, which is actually asking for more funding, is now saying that they are not a regulatory department. And so they're not involved in the process. So my question to her is, what does the mayor think his role is? Is it the mayor? Is it the overall mayor for Oahu, city and county, or the Honolulu? Or is he just kind of there letting the DPP do their own thing, climate change do their own thing, transportation do their own thing? What do you think is Juliana as the mayor of Honolulu?
Pat, did you get that? What is the mayor's Juliana in regards to this?
In regards to the Turtle Bay Resort development, or in regards to issuance of permits?
The overall leadership scale. Has the mayor even studied about this issue? Because this apparently is a big continuing issue. Has he even taken the time to at least read the history so that you can have a little bit of institutional knowledge? Or has he even read the unilateral agreement? Has he read the settlement petition? Because
I think she can.
we need to have someone.
Joan, just a second, Joan, just a second. Joan, Pat, can you get her?
I'm trying to hear. I'm hearing some parts. I can't hear the whole thing.
Would you like to come to the front of the mic? That would help.
I'm just trying to speak to that mic over there. Hello.
Thank you.
Oh, fancy. Okay. Okay, I am asking that you say that the climate resilience considers itself just a not a regulatory department, even though recently they're asking for more money, right? So my question is, does the mayor think that he should be responsible for all of Oahu and all the departments, including DPP, transportation, climate change? Because what we're seeing now is that the climate change people are saying, oh, well, we're not regulatory, so we're not involved in the permitting process. And my other question is, does the mayor think that he has Kuleana responsibility over the entire island? Has he read the unilateral agreement that provides community benefits for olauloa? Has he read the 2013 settlement, this and that? Okay, so there's a lot of history to this, and And bottom line, we want to know if the mayor feels that his job as the mayor of Oahu covers everything and he should be involved in issues like this. Thank you very much, Pani.
Did you catch that, Kat?
I did.
Thank you. All right, any other questions from members of the public, please? Go
Yeah,
ahead, and then we'll
I-
move over.
Oh, am I first?
Yes, you're fine.
Thank you. I'd like to know from the mayor and DPP whether or not in granting permits for grubbing and what's the other thing?
Grading.
Grading. Okay, if any of those permit reviews consulted DLNR and SHPD and all of those state agencies that are supposed to protect Ibikupuna. And along with that, on that grading and grubbing permits, if any of those are close to the shoreline at this point, that'd be even more relevant to the question of consulting and having DLNR review those permits before they're granted. And as a safeguard to Ibikupuna in the area.
They present.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead.
Can I just clarify a little bit? Actually, on our September 12th, in our September 12th meeting, DNLR actually presented on that and did their investigation and things.
On
And
those
so-
required permits?
Yes, on this, and this particular development. And also, they also talked with Arete about the impact on the animal, on the endangered species, as well as the shorebirds and things like that. And so that was actually a presentation, September 12th. But you're welcome, if you want to take a picture of this.
Sure.
That's my copy, but you're welcome to.
Thank you.
That was their report to us.
I'm sorry, if we have members of the public, sorry, if you could say your name for the record.
Margaret from Osseo, Kahuku resident.
Thank you. Okay, and then we had two more here, then we'll come back to you. So.
Ellen Zarowski, and I'd like to know what specifically determines certified shoreline? And what determines that with climate change the way it is that we are well aware of, what would make you think that the certified shoreline from 1986 has not changed in 2024?
You have that question? Did you hear that, Kat?
Yeah, what determines the shoreline? And it's not static. Where it existed in 1986 is not where it exists today.
Thank you. There was another. Oh, okay. We'll move over to Sunny Greer.
Oh, I just wanted to say, if anyone wanted to know or see where the DLNR presentation is located, go to the Neighborhood Commission Office for Olauloa Neighborhood Board. It was presented, our minutes as well as all the presentations. It's from the September 12th, 2024. So you can have a copy of what they presented to us, as well as any links in the contact.
Other questions from members of the public in person? Okay, we'll go online. We'll start with Andrea, then go to Catherine, and then Casey. So Andrea, please proceed, Andrea.
Okay, hello. Okay, this was the Turtle Bay's miles and 151 acres of irreplaceable oceanfront coastline and 8 miles of trails and how many endangered species? I think it's 11 or something. They are not consistent with 20 buildings and 350 condominiums or townhouses. That was in 2015, you know, we were trying to outlaw urban sprawl from between Cavella Bay and Kahuku Point. There were a lot of people at that time put up money, taxpayers and land trust, Sierra Club, whatever. The agreed amount that we paid was about over $48 million to come up with this easement. So I'm questioning that the agreed amount at that time to solve these, to make people willing to settle was that 2 new hotels with a total of 625 rooms could be built on either side of the existing hotel.
Hey, Andrea,
And it was to be a full service hotel, excuse me.
Andrea, could we please wrap it up? Thank you.
Yeah, I want to know who will fill these jobs for these 330 condos. Where will those people live? Are they local 5 jobs? Because we're supposed to be full service hotels. This
Okay, thank
agreement
you.
did not count, was not what this said.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Catherine, go ahead.
All right, I've typed it in the comment box more or less. All right, given that the DPP has a well-known public history of corruption that has been proven in the courts, how are we, the public, to trust any of the operations that have occurred between now and 1986 when some of those individuals were therefore employed? And how are we to trust any decisions that occurred during this time when they were there, let alone actions, responses to inquiry? How are we, the public, to interject our fierce objection to development, which surpasses the carrying capacity of the land, and most especially the single lane highway, being told that the public, the taxpayer, have no say in it? It's just it's out and out undemocratic. My basic thing is, how are we to trust the DPP when they are known for corruption? They have a known history, and I would like the mayor to answer that question. How are we to trust their back actions?
Thank you, Catherine.
Thank you.
Pat, you got that?
I did, thank you.
Okay, we'll move over to Casey and then Joan.
Quickly, I thought in September DLNR admitted that they had not actually been up to Turtle Bay. Can someone confirm that? And then for Kat, mahalo, really great responses. Again, we are asking for the city's emergency management. What is the carrying capacity of Kamehameha Highway? Again, in 2012, with the tsunami warning, we were in and plenty of time to evacuate. We were in bumper to bumper traffic trying to evacuate for hours. So how is, now we have choke Airbnbs all up and down here, and a growth in development. BYU has expanded tremendously. We're looking for more Oceanside. How is the mayor going to handle emergency management? There was 2022, there was a 300-acre fire in Laie, and tsunamis are supposed to increase quickly with climate change. So we're looking for the traffic and the emergency evacuations and carrying capacity. Thank you so much.
Okay, moving on to Joan.
Can I answer her question?
Hang
very
on just a
quickly?
second, Joan.
They actually, this letter from the DNLR, they did do the site visit in October, and the letter that we received was October 8th, that they had done the site visit. So you're correct, Casey. They were going to do an October visit, and they did it according to DNLR. Okay?
Okay, thank you. Joan, please proceed with your question.
What I thought that was a good summary of the difficulties with the road, and also the not planning for the future about how we're actually going to continue to use that road, when along the stretch between Hauula and Ka'ava, there are the 8 of the parts of the road going in the ocean most of the time, So I agree with what you're saying, but I think we have a method possibly to take action, which is for your board to consider a resolution to halt the development until some of the salient questions that you have been answered. And so I think, and this, by the way, you send a copy of the resolution to DPP and their city council members, and also your state senators and the mayor, so people are involved. And in this way, you bring some pressure to bear, especially if.
Wrap it up.
Okay, so collectively, I have made that a copy of of a sample resolution available to your chair and to others on the board, and if they want to share them or make their own. That's my suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you. I have Evelyn Lane. Please unmute yourself and proceed with your question. Let's see if we can help her. Can you unmute her? You see her?
Yeah.
Can
No,
you-
I have to request.
Okay.
So,
Evelyn, we're trying to unmute you. Can you accept that request? Or if you cannot do that, or you can't unmute for some reason, please type your question in the chat. We can ask that.
Now,
Okay, we can hear you.
hi, I'm Evelyn Lane, coming to you from Florida tonight, so it's very late over here. But I'm really glad that we can ask some questions about those responses. Does the DDP believe that no EIS could ever be required from Turtle Bay? And also, do they believe that there are no circumstances that have changed in our community that could require an EIS? And also, based on the Supreme Court decision from the last EIS that they didn't want to do, it said the court ruled that there was supposed to be, the DDP should not practice capricious or arbitrary decisions, and that the public should have a notification of things when they happen, and that we
Thank you.
should have input. And
Evelyn, please
lastly,
summarize.
they say that we should use the doctrine of reason. And I just wonder if they're not, if DDP is not addressing the Supreme Court ruling when they're thinking about this EIS, because if you read the Supreme Court ruling, there's no
Thank you,
reason why
Evelyn.
we shouldn't be able to have an EIS.
Thank you very much. Kat, did you get the gist of her question?
Yes, I did. Thank you.
Okay, appreciate it. Thank you. Is there any other members of the public online that would like to have a question, comments? I have a in the chat. Oh, sorry. Who do we have? Go ahead. Please state your name.
This is Anna Baldinger. I am a local resident, and I have a question about violations regarding clearing and grading along the coastline. I have photographs showing within the last 2 to 3 weeks cleared areas along the coastline near Kiki Cove, including patches of naupaka. So who do we submit that kind of evidence to? I think this goes back to, like, you know, who do we contact about these types of complaints going forward?
Got it.
Okay, thank you. Any other members of the public online that would like to ask a question? Melody Atuha, I see your hand up. Please proceed. You have 1 minute.
Thank you very much, Chair. I'm a little reluctant to ask my question, so if you would indulge me just in case, because I know it's regarding sewer. She had said earlier that the sewer rates are going to go up, and unfortunately, Ko'olaupoko, you are still on cesspool. It's pending conversion to a septic tank. But if this chair would indulge my question, I just wanted to know, how is the sewage prices going to go up? What are the rates now, and what are the proposed rates? If you would allow that question to go, Chair.
Of course.
Because, thank you, thank you.
Kat, any response?
Yes, I think the proposed rates are being considered by City Council now. I think I understand that the Department of Environmental Services will be coming to the neighborhood board at some point to make a presentation.
Do you know when this proposal is going to take place, at least?
When the rates
When
are
it's
proposed
approved.
to increase, I'm not positive of that offhand. Apologies.
Do you know how the rates are calculated today?
Not offhand, no.
Okay, thank you. Thank you,
Thank you.
Chair.
Any other questions from members of the public online? Any other questions for members of the public in person? Okay, thank you very much, Kat. We'll move forward in our agenda to Councilmember Matt Wire, who is here in person.
Oh, perfect. I'll get to Turtle Bay at the end. That way, Honey can cut me off if I go over my time limit. I won't. Chelsea threw in the chat a link on veteran services that came up earlier. For anyone here, you can Google Department of Community Services, Veteran Services. That's the Department of Community Services website where Kauai has info on the Resource Center, also how to get in contact with the DBOF specialist, the Disabled Veterans Outreach person that can help. And so just keep that in mind. Wanted to give a legislative update. I think Bill 22 came up last meeting, the fireworks bill. We didn't override mayor's veto. It was a 4-4 vote. You need 6 to override it. I had voted no initially, and then 3 others joined, and so ended up not passing it. I think it just makes sense. One, from an enforcement side, right? Trying to say like, okay, you can have ground fireworks that go so high, but not higher ones. It's just harder for HPD to enforce, and it's just easier just to have a clear-cut law. And also just with the fire risks that we've seen, and I understand a lot of these are fireworks we've enjoyed growing up, but I think just hearing the testimony from fire department, from police department, it just wasn't the right time and didn't make sense to pass it. And so I'm glad that happened. But understand that some folks may disagree. Bill 64 is still ongoing. I know Sunny's going to do a presentation later, I think specifically on the turbine. We're still engaging on the agricultural components in particular for our district. But again, Bill 64 is that land use ordinance update that initiated, from DPP, went through Planning Commission and came over to council because of this decades old land use ordinance that we have. And so we're trying to be very intentional to propose amendments to ensure that there's no negative impacts on the community. But Planning Committee Chair Diana has been moving it along kind of quickly. So I just want to encourage you to still reach out to us if you have concerns or any information or hearing things about the bill. Of course, our email for those online is mwire@honolulu.gov, still up here on the board, and Chelsea's contact is up here as well. We introduced Bill 59, which would get rid of single-use bottles at city premises. So not for all the businesses, right? We figured we should take the first step on the government side before, asking businesses to do that. And we got the idea from some third graders that were doing research on acid acidification. So they're actually going to be at our Housing Sustainability and Health Committee next Wednesday at 2:30. So we'll do their info briefing, hear that bill, and then hear a few other bills. And then we also, with Councilmember Cordero, just introduced a bill that would make doing wheelies a violation. It's not a cure-all, but of course, there's ways to charge folks with reckless driving right now. But with the e-bike issue, there's a lot of ambiguity, especially in the state law, because you have all these different bikes that fall into different classifications based on how fast they go. And of course, this is kind of a broader ban that makes it easy for officers to enforce one particular issue, right? If they see it, it's clear, they can cite it, and then we can get those folks into conversations, particularly at their youth, right? And this is just one tool in the toolkit for HPD to use. Of course, we need to do a lot more. I know everyone here probably knows you're not supposed to be riding that e-bike if you're under 15. And then if you're under 16, you're supposed to have a helmet. But really, these e-bikes have proven to be dangerous, I think, as a lot of people know. Just a few weeks ago, just one instance, there's some all across the community, a middle schooler went through the back window of a car, cut up his face, is going to need a reconstructive surgery. And of course, we're seeing those issues across the district. So as much as I know we all, love the kids in our lives and want to give them really fun experiences, maybe with Christmas coming up, we should just evaluate whether the e-bikes are appropriate. And of course, that's a conversation everyone can have as a family. Someone had reached out about the DMV kiosk. And so we did talk to customer services. They're telling us that we should have one in district first quarter of next year. So by March, they didn't give us the exact location, but I know that I'm assuming it might be in a Fluan. I think they didn't want to tell us where it would go, but hopefully we have more than one. But keep an eye out for that, and we'll also update you as we learn more as well. So Turtle Bay, I don't know if that's still on. Appreciate all the feedback she gave. Yeah, and answered a whole lot of questions. And so I do appreciate that, and generally appreciate all the work DPP is doing on enforcement. You know, they've been extremely responsive as we reported violations getting out there. They have the SCR map online now to track vacation rentals, and so grateful for a lot of the work because I know they're working really hard. I am extremely disappointed though that you know, they canceled coming to the last meeting, and you know, just going through the questions we heard, I can see why it's challenging for us all to wrap our minds around everything that's going on. Most of it happened before I was in office, so even I've been having to play catch up and talking to community stakeholders. And so I think that's part of why our most recent request to them was trying to get them to come out and just give an overview of the entire history. You know, I think there's a lot of discussion about how to reopen stuff and whatnot, right? So just to make sure everyone's on the same page, right? We have this 1986 unilateral agreement. It kind of outlines, included the SMA process back then, and then also outlines all the conditions that are triggered when certain projects happen, right? And so that includes things like turning over 2 parcels to the city for parks, or maybe doing some road work and whatnot. And so the UA itself is not purely the SMA component, but just a broader agreement that would affect the community as a whole. And so there's multiple ways for that to be adjusted. I know Kat had mentioned that council would have to do the ordinance. So that's one of the 3 ways it can be initiated by the person that has the rights under the UA, by council or DPP. If council does it by reso, it would still go to DPP. They'd have 270 days to either deny, amend, or approve it, and then they'd send it to the planning commission for them to review it, and then it would come back to us. And so it's not, as maybe some may have misinterpreted, I don't think that was the intention, that council has the authority to just do all of this stuff to remedy what's going on. And so that's why we've been encouraging and asking DPP to engage the community so they can also take that input, right? Because if we do reopen the UA, I would want or ask that at minimum, probably from the neighborhood board, but also from maybe the association, just kind of what the general want is from the community in terms of modifications to the quote unquote community benefits, right? So I know some folks had said, for example, maybe we don't need parks in particular spaces because of coastal erosion, or maybe we do want the road widening or we don't. And so that's stuff to talk through as a community. And I don't know if the presentation today will dive into that, but we have been in contact with Arte, appreciate having the conversations, and also with hosts. And of course, with DPP, mainly trying to get them to come out and explain the process. And so I'll be, you know, all ears today and want to continue the conversation, and feel free to reach out if you guys have questions about that process. But wanted to kind of give you the big overview, right? As mentioned, I think Casey mentioned 2010, the Hawaii Supreme Court ruled on the environmental impact issue. And so they did a supplemental, and then there's been other permitting and stuff like that. The more recent permitting is not council approved permitting. It's like the grading grubbing is what's called. It's not discretionary permitting. They PPP just takes it in and reviews it and pumps it out if it complies with all their rules. So that's kind of the overview that I have. I hope it provides some clarity. Hope I'm not over time. I'm happy to take any questions.
All right, questions from board members?
Yeah, I just was curious. I don't know whether the city council would support doing some sort of study.
Louder.
Maybe University of Hawaii Urban Planning Department might look at the unilateral agreement and say, what of the public benefits, what are the status of public benefits identified since 1986 currently? And what is the fidelity of whatever actions have been taken to break the unilateral agreement? In other words, to get some sort of neutral body like the University of Hawaii Urban Planning to sort of look at this and do a report, because there's a lot of concern about the process that we're hearing in this community. And so that would tell us to some extent how successful this particular process is.
Yeah.
Over since 1986. You understand what I'm saying?
100%.
Yeah. And I don't know what mechanism the city council has maybe to commission or pay for or encourage that type of studies in the University of Hawaii.
No, we can, I mean, we can definitely look into UH and talk to folks over there,
Yeah.
specifically.
Favorite graduate student program with, overseen by a good professor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I can definitely welcome, yeah, points of contact. I do think that, there's a lot of individuals in the community that also have opinions. And so I think just fleshing it out as a community too, would be helpful. And I know a lot of people have been having individual conversations and, I think tonight is a part of starting that process and I'm sure it'll continue. But yeah, appreciate that feedback.
Yeah.
Questions from other board members? Okay, questions from board members online? Okay, we'll go to questions from members of the public in person. Okay, we'll go here, then to Jim. 1 minute, please. Sorry, your name?
I think they can hear you.
We might, sorry, if you could.
Or push, someone can push that mic a little closer. Sorry. Yeah, that's good.
Sorry, guys. Okay. Okay. So you represent our community. I just wanted to know, as a representative, how do you plan on protecting the Kanaka gathering rights of the people of that place, Turtle Bay? Hanakaoi is the name of where you guys are developing. How do you plan on protecting the native, Kanaka Maoli gathering rights in an event that we're unable to? For example, my community doesn't even have development happening. However, BLNR has no caps on how many permits they give to surf schools, i.e. Sunset Susie, 808 Surf School. And there was a time where the Native Hawaiian tenant had issues and frustrations with dealing with the surf schools because he wasn't able to gather. And in the end, the Kanaka had gotten, the rap for voicing his frustration. So I don't feel like the Kanaka is supported enough. So I wanted to know, as a representative, how will you support us? Yeah.
Sorry, your name?
Oh,
Trisha Kamakaala, Bani Paleo
yeah.
All for the question, and it's super important. We're really lucky in Hawaii to have just this really vibrant and wonderful case law that Chief Justice Richardson will promulgate, right? And I do think that as we go forward, the expectation is that everyone's going to comply with what they're required to, right? So if there's something that's in violation of that, whether it's Pash case or any of the other case law that was involved, then you can always report that to us and we can help follow up on it, right? The question is broader, like how does the city generally, and of course, I have to go back to, I don't remember all of it. I did the Native Hawaiian law certificate at Richardson, but in terms of how it's applied by the city in terms of rights of access and rights of way, the city does go in and will ensure that, folks are gating off, right? Like the public right of way or allowing private landowners to prevent access. But if we're talking a bigger history and a specific issue that you're seeing infringement on a particular area that has cultural relevance, or there's a particular type of access that's not being allowed, then reach out and we can have that conversation. Yeah. Does that answer your question? Or?
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to know how you guys would protect underrepresented, because before everything else was put in place, there was Kanaka, and I just wanted to make sure that we'd be represented.
Of course.
Yeah.
In that particular location.
Yeah, because there's a history of, when they develop certain areas, we don't come out to gather anymore. So I just want to be a voice for my people.
Yeah, appreciate that.
Thank you very much, Joe. Let's come forward. You have a minute.
Sorry.
I continue to have severe concern with Bill 64. It's such a sea change. I mean, you're technically changing the whole entire LUO for the whole entire Honolulu Specifically, I still have concerns about desktop farmers, corporation farmers, telling small farmers what to do, where you can plant, what you can do, and this and that. Majority of the farmers own 9 acres or less. So we don't want the corporate farmers, desktop farmers to tell us what to do. The other one is also the free range of electrical towers, 5Gs and this and that. I believe that there has to be public health component in it. And right now, all the towers can basically put anywhere they want. I was in West Oahu and I saw a 5G tower next to a classroom. So all those are still very concerns, turbines, distances, and this and that. So I apologize. I have not been commenting as much as I should, but I've been so busy. But I just want to tell you that I still continue to have a lot of severe concerns.
Right.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. And I honestly, I have concerns too, in the sense that once we pass the bill, sorry, I won't take much more time, but the LUO, the land use ordinance goes through a longer process. It's not like we can just rush a bill and get it out.
Right.
Say after the fact, we want to change something in it. We'll introduce it as a resolution. If it gets passed out, then it goes over to DPP for review, then to the planning commission, and then comes back to us. So month-long, like months, right? So I do understand that. And so that's why we've been trying to have as many conversations as we can.
Yeah, but it's still good to just do it right the first time.
Of course. No.
Put residents first, public health first.
Well,
Any other questions from members of the public? Okay, we'll go here. Please come forward if you can. Someone could just move that mic over there.
Yeah, you can do that.
Aloha mai kākou o wau o Helo ke kua. Mahalo for bringing up dates and the importance of history that happens on there, being that you are representing our district. I would like to ask you a few important dates, 1893 and 1843, and if you're educated, because those dates matter, they're important, and they actually happened to us. Would you please be able to elaborate those dates for me, please? 1843 and 1893, and the importance of those dates in history.
1893, I know, was the overthrow. 1843, I cannot say I know for sure. Would that be the Bannock Constitution?
Laku'oko'a, November 28th, 1843. That's a very important date. I asked that because we're going to make it important about these dates in history, like you're saying, 1986 or 87, with you have to give 2 parcels back to the city for this and that. Let's also not forget dates that did happen. So my summary is, please be educated and educate everybody that happened. It's not imaginary. 1843 and 1893. Laku'oko'a and the over Queen, yeah?
Hi. Any other questions from members of the public here in person? Yeah, please. Name and all of that.
My name is Jessica Dos Santos, and I have a question about the process that you had mentioned in regards to how the unilateral agreement could be amended. Would you be able to and willing to educate the community in a clear way that everybody in the community can understand what that process is, who has the power to initiate that process, how can that process be carried out, and the time frame of that process, so that the community can be aware of the powers that you and your office and your council have in initiating this process? Thank you.
No, good question. And so like I mentioned, can be initiated by council, the folks with the vested rights, or DPP. If council initiated the process by resolution, it would go to DPP after we did it. And then DPP would review it and either deny, approve, or amend it. If they amend it or approve it, then it goes to the planning commission. If the planning commission denies it, then it comes back to council. If the planning commission approves it, it goes on to mayor. So that's kind of the big picture process. And so that's if it's initiated by council. I'm not 100%. I think if DPP initiated it, they might just send it directly to the planning. But we can, that's kind of what we've been trying to find out from them. Does that answer the question or any more specificity?
I think my question was, would you be really able to produce an educational,
Oh, actually,
like slides
we can,
that outline the
Yeah.
process clearly so that all people in our community can understand the process, who has the power, etc. Because you're telling us, and
Yeah.
it's late at night, and that's not it. You know what I mean? Like, I think we need it in writing, visible with visuals so that our community can understand the process, who has the power, who goes what, where, like,
Yeah.
it goes back here, there, like, we need it in like a visual, like a roadmap so that the community can understand this process and so that we can advocate for or against what we want as a community.
Yeah,
So we need to have the time to be educated clearly, so producing materials.
Yeah. So yeah, we can work on that. I'll caveat that with why we've been reluctant to like, because again, even what I recited today is research that we've done and what we looked up. But DPP is the one that makes the final determination on a lot of things. And so like oftentimes our attorneys at council will disagree with corporation counsel on an interpretation of something or how something should legally be. And so I can put together kind of a general overview of what we found. But because I'm the legislative branch, I can't necessarily speak for DPP and how they're going to actually decide on an issue. Does that make sense? Yeah, and just wanted to caveat with that. Yeah.
Okay, so the question is, Margaret Palacio, President,
Yes.
proud and loud and proud. You're in the legislative branch. You have Office of Council Services at your disposal,
Yeah.
which is the council attorneys. So if after consulting the district and what we want in that unilateral, your Office of Council Services can definitely weigh in on how good that piece of legislation you're going to introduce is going to go.
Yeah.
And if there's enough power from the district in support of that, I really doubt DPP is not going to move it along.
Yeah.
So Office of Council Services would be very helpful once we know exactly what we want in that unilateral, because it's outdated. It doesn't speak to the traffic in the area. So why wouldn't that be some kind of a roadmap for us?
So that is the roadmap that I kind of laid out.
Okay.
Yeah, but I
yeah,
appreciate the question.
it's very doable.
Yeah, and I think the first step for me is having, because I've had a couple dozen conversations with different people about what they want to see change and not change, and gotten a couple dozen different answers. And so that's why I think if KCA and the board have a community meeting, well, provide like, this is what we're all agreed on and we vote on and we pass, that gives me a basis to say this validly represents what the community collectively wants. Right? Understanding not every single person is going to agree with it. But if I just go start chipping away, I'm going to have some people tell me like, oh, took this out, oh, put this back in, you know. And so I just want to be respectful of the community's voice as a whole in that sense. But yeah, in terms of after that, yeah, I mean, we could go through the reso process, the UA process. I appreciate that.
Okay. Jimmy, do we have anyone before to this is be your second time? Anyone else before that hasn't spoken yet? Okay, go ahead, Joe. You have 1 minute.
Okay, Matt.
Yeah.
I think what the people are saying, step up and take the lead.
Yeah.
And so maybe the thing to do is for Kahuku Community Association to hold a town hall, invite you to explain to us, and that would work, wouldn't it? And the neighborhood boards, because all this this development here is going to affect everybody up and down the coast, because we only have one arterial Camp Highway.
Yeah.
so we can have the, Kahuku Village, which is the host community, host it, we invite everybody, you do your spill and, but at least it's a start.
Yeah.
Any other questions from members of the community in person? Okay, we'll go to online. Casey, I see your hand up. You have 1 minute. Please proceed.
Thank you, Matt. And many of us have been asking if you would put forth a resolution so that to ask DPP for a timeline, because so many of these different parts are funky, and we'd like to get DPP formally put forth a timeline, and we know that you can put a resolution up. There's just many different things. Was the then director of DPP even allowed to approve the EIS to Blackstone in 2022? And, before, the acting director of DPP unilaterally just said all the condos at Turtle Bay could be vacation rentals without going before the board. There are many, many, many different moving parts, and we would love you to be aware of them and to have DPP aware of them, because I don't believe the staff is, and the community, then we can look at it all and what was correct and what needs to be corrected. Mahalo.
Yeah. Appreciate that. I'll just note that the letter that I think Pani passed out or made copies of was an official filed communication, so a lot faster than a reso, because we just filed it and sent it to them. So it didn't even have to be agendized. Asking for, and I hear what you're saying about the timeline, which is kind of what Jessica was saying too. Maybe I should provide a presentation, but we did ask them to provide citation to all the documents that we should be looking at, right? Because we've been talking about a lot of things like the unilateral agreement, the SMA, the EIS, the supplemental. But I appreciate that feedback. I really do. And we'll work on putting together a more concise, clear package for everybody.
Any other questions? I'm sorry. We have Anna. Anna, your hand is up. Please proceed with your question. You have 1 minute.
Thank you. I have 3 questions. So the first, and forgive me if this has been mentioned, but is there like a centralized format or a link to some kind of like online resource that collects community input, like community complaints, reports about specifically related to the development, things like written reports, photos of what's going on? Like, is there a centralized location for that, or a petition anywhere related to this that we can reference?
Yeah, there might be public petitions. If you're asking about department maintenance of documents, I would defer to the DPP. I know Kat's the rep, but she's at DLM. In terms of us, we keep records of all the complaints that come in to our office. With any issue, you can always report directly to DPP or report to our office as well.
Okay, thank you. And that brings me to my second question. And I know there's not a simple answer to this, but how are we supposed to trust that what we report to the DPP is taken into real consideration when they're the ones who made the initial decision in 2022 not to require an additional EIS? Is there any other department that has a level of oversight over the DPP that we could go to instead?
Yeah, well, what was that? Mayor, yeah. So it came from, yeah, in terms of process, right, you could always reach out to managing director's office and the mayor's office. Of course, CPP is already directly reporting to them. In terms of, like I said, you can always send stuff to our office, or if you send something to DPP and don't get a response, you can reach out to us and we can ping them to try to get a response. If you're talking about at the staff level, of course, you can report that directly to the director. If you're having issues with individual investigators or you feel like certain things aren't being done correctly, I'll just say that our city workers do work really hard, and I think it's hard that they had that scandal. And so it does sadden me to get this sense or this feeling that, we don't trust our public servants, but I understand the sentiment. Like you said, a prior director approved the SCIS, the supplemental. But I do think, I'll say that I don't think anyone at DPP is being malicious. And I know that's probably not well received, but I'm just being honest. Because, we have them before us a lot. And so same with parks, like I know there's a lot of frustration with the parks maintenance, but people are working hard and of course there's room for improvement. So I welcome feedback on that. I'm not open to can of worms.
Additional questions, members? So we'll go to
Sunny, do you wanna-
Sunny.
I think the biggest issue is that we have a broken system. This that does not allow transparency to the community and it does not allow meaningful community engagement. For example, all these developments with AES, with their turbines, or projects within Kahuku or Turtle Bay, when the developer makes a filing for their permits or for a variance request or whatever, there's not sufficient public notice. The mere filing of that is considered sufficient public notice. And so the public may not even know that had occurred. And by the time they get wind of it, it's already been past that 30 days. So as a representative, I think that we need to have some system overhaul to ensure that policies and procedures are in place that makes it so that whenever there's these filings that the community, they need to go to the community association or the neighborhood board so that we are aware of these filings and so that we have time to respond within that 30 days notice. 30-day time period. So I request that you find out where in which or who can make those policy changes to ensure that the community has better access to these information and better ways to engage and have input in a timely manner.
I know, yeah, that's a great point. When we had the conversation with Director Cole at the beginning of the year, I think the idea was that we can maybe start integrating more of that stuff onto the maps that they have, right? Because we were looking at the STR violation map and it seemed like we were told that you could just overlay and maybe get the variances posted up there and then other like permitting stuff posted up there for people to check.
Yeah, but it's just so hard for the community to keep looking at postings, right? There needs to be a process in place that that requires the DPP or developers to notify the community about what they're about to do. You know what I mean?
I hear
So, yeah.
Yeah, and this question, I don't mean to, probably most of our elected officials have gone to bed now, but one of the issues that I have along with that, and along with what Anna said, is that when, the public, I think what they're saying is, when we send even a concern, even to our own elected officials, I sent something as just a regular community member, and your office is the only one that even acknowledged that they got that. And so I think what the community is saying is, if we send in a report or a concern, when they're talking about, well, possibly illegal grading, there's not even an acknowledgement. And I think somewhere, have AI do it, artificial intelligence, something, but there needs to be some type of a response back. And that's why I believe a lot of the distrust and the disconnect is we're spitting in the wind.
Yeah. I appreciate that. Tag us in anything we need, like that gets sent to DPP and we can follow up on it. Sometimes we're waiting for answers too. But yeah, I hear you.
Thank you.
Appreciate that frustration.
Thank you. I had Lynn on Evelyn online. If you wanted to please proceed with your question, you have 1 minute. I think we need to have a minute here.
She has to.
Evelyn, if you can hear me, please accept the unmute.
Thank you. It's hard for my screen to bring it up.
No problem.
Nat, Evelyn Lane here. I I appreciate all that you've been doing to help us understand this dilemma that we're in. And I wonder if, in regards to this notice of that 2022 approval for the not having to have an EIS, what kind of public notice was there even given? And, you know, back in, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, please proceed.
Okay.
Raquel, please mute your microphone, please. Thank you.
There used to be a time when we had public notice and it was put in the newspaper, but now it's like we don't know where to go to get public notice. And it doesn't seem fair that we're constantly being left out. The community gets things built all around us and we don't know anything about it and we can't get information on it. And I really feel like the community has been completely disregarded when it comes to our input in these types of matters. And I appreciate what you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from members of the public online? Okay, from in person. Okay, Ben, please come up to the front, name, and you have your minute.
Oliver, Matt, I think you're doing a good job in explaining how the process works. But Sonny brought up a very interesting point. If anybody's developing anything, the neighborhood boards, the community association need to be aware of this. That should be a resolution. Number one. Number two, DPP, if you're gonna build a windmill, and I'm gonna complain about the windmill no matter what. If you're gonna build a windmill in a subdivision, and DPP said, and they're not malicious, they're not even thinking, right? So I think a lot of times when they approve these things, they need to come down here and explain to the community why they're approving these things. Why they're approving these things, because we want to know from them what they're thinking about. A couple of years ago, actually about 20, 30 years ago, when they were developing the subdivision in Kahana, developers came down, DPP already had all the plans already set up, and they made a small little culvert about this big so the water can run into it and, you know, right from the housing going down. And so I asked the guy, I said, by the way, what is that for? He said, oh, that's for when the rain comes down and it'll go in there and
It's summarized.
yeah, and I said, do you come here when it rains? And he goes, no. I said, how do you know how much water comes down here? They don't know nothing. So they need to come down here to see what's going on and then go from there when the people tell them it's okay. Thank you.
All right, any other questions from members of the public here? Okay, hearing it's none. Thank you very much, Matt. Move forward in our agenda. We have a representative of Gov's office here. Hi, yes, you're here.
I'm Erica Yamauchi. I am representing Office of the Governor, but my day job is really communications for the Office of Wellness and Resilience, which is temporarily housed in the Office of the Governor. I first wanted to just acknowledge the historical and cultural trauma that our state has faced, that I think causes a lot of this distrust and frustration that we continue to see.
Sorry, Africa.
When things like this. Oh, sorry.
Come to the middle of the room or something. Sure, okay. I mean, there's a mic right there. There's a mic.
So I'm Erica Yamauchi. I'm representing the Office of the Governor, but my real role is in communications for the new Office of Wellness and Resilience, which is temporarily housed in the Office of the Governor. But we work on mental health issues throughout the state. And so I just wanted to first just acknowledge, the community members that are here and just thank them for using their voice. And then also just acknowledge the very real historical and cultural trauma that our state has faced and, continues to have real impacts on people's trust or distrust in government. So I just wanted to acknowledge that at the outset because it still causes, real pain for people.
So I do have a report on a couple of questions that you all directly asked from the Office of the Governor last time. So I'll just go through those really quickly. The first one was, is the Office of the Governor considering collecting tax or TAT on illegal vacation rentals because of lost revenue? The response is all vacation rentals are required to pay GET and TAT, whether they are illegal or not, whether those who are supposed to be paying taxes are identified, we can send investigators for education and enforcement. If anyone is aware of vacation rentals not paying taxes, they can make a complaint to the Department of Taxation Special Enforcement Section website, and I can share that website for the minutes. What does Governor Green see as his state's role in environmental regulation related to Turtle Bay? The Office of the Governor defers to the city and county, working in collaboration with the DLNR, Department of Land and Natural Resources, as they have the ultimate decision-making authority in this matter regarding planning and permitting of development. Currently, Governor's efforts related to environmental impact overall is improving the ability of the state to raise funds for climate impacted areas via a climate impact fee, which we are hopeful will pass in the legislature this upcoming session. What is the Legacy Conservation Commission and what are they doing, if anything, related to Turtle Bay? This commission also falls under DLNR and their meetings are public. We encourage the community to contact the board and attend their meetings with your concerns. We can also request a member of the commission to come to speak to this body if you'll be interested in that. What is the status of the state cleaning up the ditch next to Homestead Road? I didn't get a direct response about this, but we are still asking about the jurisdiction of the ditch, and I can report back next time. I think Councilmember Meyer already talked a lot about the e-bikes, but there is a new working group, I believe, in the city of county that's working on measures related to e-bikes, and there are also a number of planned bills this session related to the topic to ensure safety. And the last one was, which I believe was from another community member, maybe Evelyn. Are there any plans for cow holiday on the North Shore? There are no immediate plans for cow holiday in the North Shore, but we can invite, again, the Department of Human Services Office of DHS, their Office of Homelessness and Housing Solutions, to present to the board if we're interested in that. So those are just, reporting back on the matters that came up last time, but I can take any questions or report back on other matters.
Perfect, thank you. Questions from board members? Questions from board members online? Okay, questions from members of the public here in person? Okay, going online then. Casey Connors, I see your hand up. Please proceed with your question. You have 1 minute.
Thank you. Thank you, Erica. Quickly, it is standard in any economic planning, especially with tourism, to have a carrying capacity study. And surprisingly, still, Hawaii does not have one. Oahu does not have one. Can we request a carrying capacity study and basic economic modern planning? The second thing on economic planning is it is standard for all other states to promote modern, higher paying jobs for their residents. And tourism is in Hawaii is one of the lowest paying industries. Is there any way that you can promote higher paying jobs for our rural community? Again, film and TV does so well out here, but at Turtle Bay, they're destroying the #1 hotel and grounds for, it's #1 hotel for filming, and they're destroying that right now. And there goes all the good jobs. So what are your plans for higher paying jobs that allow people to afford rent in our rural community? Thank you. Mahalo.
Thank you, Casey.
Thank you. I see Catherine Heath's hand up. Catherine,
Yes,
please proceed.
last question. Great job on the governor's answer and trying to remove himself from the discussion on Turtle Bay. However, what does the governor have to say about the impact of the development both at Turtle Bay and by HRI and LIEA on the state highway, the DOT? which is within his jurisdiction. Because if you've been here tonight, you've obviously heard that's a main point of concern. And anytime we want to make a complaint, we have to go to the state. So we're very well aware that it is not a county issue. I'd look forward to his response at the next meeting in January, I anticipate. Mahalo.
And I know Director Sniffen has come as well, but he's,
Yes, he did, but
Years ago?
no, it was last year.
It
And-
wasn't a very good answer then. No. No.
Okay,
No.
thank you, Catherine.
Thank you, Catherine.
Okay, any other questions from members of the public online? Okay, we have in here, please name for the record and you should have 1 minute.
My name is Jessica Dos Santos, and my question for the governor is, recently we have had houses falling into the ocean as well as Kamehameha Highway falling into the ocean. I'm wondering if, where can we find information on how much of our taxpayer dollars have been going to remediate these extreme safety and health and environmental hazards? How can we find that information on how much of our taxpayer dollars are going to remediate these impacts? And I also wonder, as a taxpayer, how much of the state money are they anticipating having to spend on more roads falling into the ocean and more structures falling into the ocean as a result of the sea level rise impacts that we are currently seeing with our own eyes happen all along the coastlines?
Thank you for that question. It goes back to the climate impacts. I think we know it's going to be a lot of money, which is why we're trying to create that venue for it. But I also need more formal response. I have another question.
Sorry, we'll go around. So, Drew, was your hand also up? Or it's okay? Okay, Ben, please come forward. Okay, Ben, then Drew, then we'll come back.
Sorry, I didn't introduce myself. Ben Schaefer. What are they doing with that bridge? You know, the one that goes like this and how long it's been, but it's been a while. Yeah, and so, what, do we have a kind of like a timeline that we can work on?
I'm not familiar with that bridge, but.
We all
Right
have.
now-
Be more,
Yeah.
detail.
It's right up the road, you drive up this, you see it.
Okay.
You can't miss it. But anyway, we need a timeline. We need to know when it's gonna be finished. You know, we need to have it done fast. We need somebody who knows what they're doing it. You know, we would like competent people. We would like people who are responsible. We would like them to come to these meetings, report on what's going on, what the budget is, or the in budget, or whatever. You know, I think those are the type of things that the taxpayers want to hear, right? Reporting on what's going on in their community, how is it going, and where do we go from there? I think that's what we want. Thank you.
Okay, Joe, please proceed. You have 1 minute.
Well, I have a beef to pick with our Ed Sniffen, our good friend Ed Sniffen. What's happening now is that we have developers coming in for our state, and they come in here and they create impacts and they create a lot of tax liabilities. And then we, the governor, the mayor, are letting the developers just get away with nothing. And we, the people, the taxpayers, are holding the liabilities. For example, I don't know if it's sniffing or not, but to say that, oh yeah, no problem, I'm going to sign off your DOT thing because you guys are, because they're building less than what is in writing. But there's so many other overarching consequences and impacts that are not included. The bottom line is that we've got to stop allowing developers to come in here, make big money, go away, and then we, the residents, are the one left holding the bag with all the liabilities. Then we have to fix the road and this and that because the developers are saying, oh, that's not our job. That's out of our scope. That's where we need to be more akamai about protecting the local people.
Okay, any other comments, questions from the public? Sure, please proceed.
To follow up with my other two questions earlier, does the state have any plans on how they will hold private landowners liable and responsible for any and all damages done to our environment and to the community and to the well-being of our community and our ability to implement emergency services, et cetera, when the impacts of climate change such as sea level rise occur? How is the state going to be holding these private landowners accountable to footing their end of the bill so that taxpayers don't have to foot the bill to cover all of these environmental damages that we know are already occurring and that are going to occur?
Okay, thank you for that. Any other questions from members of the public in person? Okay, thank you very much. We'll see you next year. Okay, I did get word that Representative Shakopee will not be here tonight, or neither will his staff. So we will move forward in our agenda to our board business with the board letter in regards to speed bumps that we've been working on for quite a while. Have any updates, board member Lee, or?
Yeah, so we drafted a draft letter from our neighborhood board that's supposed to go out to all of our civic representatives regarding the speed humps. I just got the transportation study that Equity Talanoa, and I'll be implementing some of that. But if there's any other additions or revisions that need to be made, let me know, and then we'll send it back out.
Okay, so do I have a motion to defer to the next meeting? Second. Okay, any objections or innovations? Can see none? Thank you. We'll move forward in our agenda. Okay, going on to our presentations. Presentation will be 8 minutes. Turtle Bay Development Red Tape Collective presenter will be Rebecca. Okay.
Oh. Oh, yeah. Oh.
You want to register?
Hey. Aloha, olauloa board members. My name is Becky Butchin, and I am the co-founder and CEO of RTA Collective. Mahalo for the opportunity to share more about our plans at Turtle Bay and the positive impacts that will result from our project. Earlier this year, RTA Collective purchased 3 lots totaling about 60 acres on the Kahuku side of Turtle Bay. They are shown here in orange on this map. On the first lot, R3, we are authorized to build up to 100 units. On the second, H2, we can build up to 250 units. RTA is a guest developer under Host Hotels and Resorts, the master developer and owner of the majority of the Turtle Bay Master Plan community. Before I get into the plans, I want to acknowledge that RTA appreciates the thought and care that the local community has dedicated to guiding future plans at Turtle Bay for the past 35 years. Key milestones are highlighted on the screen, including the 1986 unilateral agreement at SMA, allowing up to 5 new hotels with 3,500 new resort units. In 2013, DPP accepted the supplemental impact statement with comments from more than 300 community members. In 2015, the owner of Turtle Bay agreed to new easements that preserved 75% of Turtle Bay as open space to be enjoyed today by future generations. Later that year, Turtle Bay reached private settlement agreements that further limited future development to just 725 new units on H1, H2, and RR3. Collectively, these historic steps were a huge win for conservation and limited future development to just 25% of the property, reducing the density allowed on Turtle Bay by 80%. In 2022, and again in a recent letter, DPP confirmed the 2013 SEIS remains valid because the previous plan of 1,375 new units was for a more substantial build-out than RTA's current plans. The UA guides all future development plans at Turtle Bay and provides very specific safeguards and legally binding conditions that carry with the land, meaning they automatically apply to any new property owner. Our Phase 1 plans fully reflect and respect all relevant conditions in the UA and the SMA, which are highlighted on the screen. Please know that RTA Collective and Host Hotels and Resorts are committed to fulfilling the UA requirements and honoring the previous easements and agreements. Planning and community engagement on future development activities continued after the acceptance of the SEIS and the 2015 agreements. This includes completing a traffic plan and study, which showed that the project will not have a material impact on the current traffic conditions. You'll see many of the Turtle Bay master plans summarized here, which are guiding us on things like water, wastewater, building design and height, and how we landscape and replace invasive species and native plants. The Olauloa Sustainable Communities Plan enacted in 2021 confirms that Turtle Bay still has development rights in certain areas and affirms that our project is within the previously determined development zone. Our project is fully aligned with your plan. A portion of the land use map on the right of the screen shows our project is designated as resort and is fully within the anticipated community growth boundary. The first phase is on lot RR3, Mackay of the 18th hole on the Palmer Golf Course. We are preserving over 70% of the current project area as open space. That is compared to the previous owner's plan of selling 50 individual home lots with 0% open space. Phase 1 includes 4 buildings and a total of 20 units. The buildings will be 4 stories and no higher than 60 feet, with parking on the ground level. Residential units will be set back as far as possible between 150 and 350 feet from the certified shoreline to allow shoreline and dune restoration, which I will discuss shortly. No short-term rentals will be allowed in our project. Vertical construction is expected to start later this year and will be completed by early 2027. We started RTA Collective out of the belief that development can be done sustainably in a way that honors the beauty of the land and benefits surrounding communities. We are deeply committed to being good stewards, incorporating sustainability and resource conservation throughout the project and protecting native and endangered plants and wildlife. That's why we are going above and beyond what is required from environmental studies and shoreline setbacks. Our project has always been shaped by the feedback of the local residents and conservation groups like the North Shore Community Land Trust, who we are consulting and emulating in our efforts to restore native plants and protect endangered wildlife along the shoreline. In the photo on the right, you'll see where we have been replacing invasive plants and trees with native species like naupaka and aki grass. Eventually, we will aim for it to look like what you see on the screen, a nearby site where similar restoration efforts led by the North Shore Community Land Trust have flourished. By taking these steps to restore, protect, and grow the existing dunes, we are reducing the threat of erosion, minimizing sedimentation from that erosion, protecting the coral reefs, and improving nearshore water quality. Turtle Bay has been a hub of economic opportunity for the North Shore, and our project will ensure the resort continues to generate new jobs for generations to come. An estimated 1,000 jobs will be created during design and construction of the project, followed by 500 permanent positions. We will continue to prioritize hiring talented local companies and providing employment opportunities to local residents. RTA is committed to exceeding the 10 required new workforce and affordable housing units associated with our project, which we will now partially build alongside of our other units right at Turtle Bay. We will also be creating a new child care center for Turtle Bay employees, meeting the critical need for working families. We are responsible for plans to create new public parks and enhance access to the improved shoreline with additional public parking and a new comfort station. We will leave the shoreline better than we found it, with native plants creating the conditions for healthy dunes and a more resilient future. Through our Collective Good Foundation, we proudly supported the outstanding athletes at Kahuku High School by donating new uniforms for the girls volleyball team and smart helmets for the football team. We also shared Aloha through our Operation Backpack, where we distributed school supplies and new backpacks to Haleiwa and Olauloa students to ensure they were set up for success as they returned to school this past fall. In early August, we assumed the management of Turtle Bay's golf courses. We proactively approached the union to facilitate a 46% increase in compensation for our union employees to be implemented over the next 15 months. We didn't wait for the current contract to expire in 2026. We took immediate action to correct what we viewed as a gross disparity in compensation for our employees. And this is just the start of what we're hoping to do here on the North Shore. Our family and our company are honored to be members of this community, and we will continue to nurture and give back for many years to come. In closing, I want to assure you that Arte Collective is committed to being good neighbors and supporting the North Shore community. Turtle Bay is entering a new era. After many years and many different owners, Turtle Bay finally has a new coalition of owners that is committed to sustaining the property for the long term. I feel full of hope, and I sincerely believe that together we can reimagine what is possible for Turtle Bay and how the resort can contribute to the greater good of the community and to solutions and issues that have persisted for generations on the North Shore. Mahalo again for the opportunity to present to you this evening. I appreciate all of you taking time away from your family to be here with us. I want to make a few quick introductions of my team before we take questions and comments. And first of all, here to my right is Darren Flanagan. Darren is the COO of our project, and as you will hear shortly, Darren hails from Australia. He originally started his career in golf course construction and development and has worked in multiple international locations, most recently living and working here in Hawaii for the past 10 years. I would also like to introduce Chris Carfort. Chris is SVP of Planning and Landscape for our company. Chris has decades of experience working throughout the world in ecologically sensitive locations. Chris is passionate about genius loci, the protective spirit of place, and is continually focused on preservation and the enhancement of land. Kiele Morocco joined our team earlier this year as our development director. Kiele has been working with the development team at Turtle Bay for nearly a decade and brings with her substantial institutional knowledge about the resort and our specific projects. Lastly, I want to introduce Sorab Rashid. Sorab is a principal at the distinguished transportation consulting firm of Fair and Peers. He has been personally involved in the traffic mitigation studies contemplating the future development at Turtle Bay since 2014. It does.
Thank you very much. Put up the board members for questions. Okay, I need this online, board members online are coming up. Okay, I'll move the questions from the community members in person. Please come to the front, state your name, and you have 1 minute. You should see our microphone right here.
My name is Gula. Just have a few questions. I just wanted to know if you guys could prove 100% chain of title dating back to beyond 1960. And if you guys talk to any other native families that maybe have kupuna on that land, because according to your legal notice, it states on this map that I have on here, many land commission awards. So if you can't prove that you talk to any of these Kanakas, then you don't have a clear chain of title. So, you guys need the map, it's right here.
Any response? And move on. Okay.
Yeah, I don't have a response to that. I'm sorry.
Any other questions from members of the community? Yes, if you can come to the. Have a little one.
Yeah, can I speak about that?
Sorry. If you want to form, yeah.
Pass this to.
Okay.
Sorry.
Close as you can.
So you mentioned that you do not have a complete chain of title.
I believe they did it.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
So how are we supposed to validate your ownership on the land? For all we know, you could just be anybody just buying out
whoever you need to buy out to build on these land.
I'm going to take that question for us.
And Scott, so.
Scott, sorry.
Hi, my name is Scott Settle, and I'm the land use attorney for Arete Collective. I'm here to help them make sure that they comply with all the UA requirements and all the laws of the state of Hawaii. They do have legal title to the property. We have a title report, we have deeds, we're willing to listen to whatever information you have that you'd like to present, and I could do that with you separately. But as far as we know, and as far as the title insurance company knows, we have a complete and legal title to the property.
Sorry, we gotta ask for the other people that wanted to ask first, and we'll come back to you. So the gentleman in the back there, if you could come forward to the, state your name, then you have one minute.
Hi, my name is Elgin Onaga, and I heard that you guys donated 600 acres or sold the 600 acres to the state. Well, it was on the thing, 5 acres was given to, and 600 acres was given to.
That was the previous owners of the property.
So what happened with that 600 acres?
It's in conservation. It's in
Okay,
conservation easement.
that's my question. Why did they put it in conservation? So nobody could use it? I have farms, idea for farms, that if they gave the kids, the youth, 600 acres, okay? Gave the youth 600 acres, and I taught the kids how to make $30,000 a year. How much is that? 600 kids at $30,000 a year. How much is that? That's how much money.
You and I
they're
talked about
losing.
this last
Okay,
week, and I
so
thought this.
I would like to see you guys helping the youth of this community learn how to make enough money so they can afford those houses.
Thank you very much for your question. Any other questions from members of the public in person? Uncle, please, you can come right over here. There's a- Thank you, sir. I'll go right here. Thank you.
Connie, can I just respond to that quickly, his question? You and I talked about that last week, and I thought that was a great idea. Unfortunately, we don't own the land at the farm, but I think you should definitely reach out to Host Hotels and Resorts and see if they can help you with your idea, because it was pretty amazing how you explained it to me last week. Okay, we'll help you share it.
Okay, moving on. Please proceed. You have 1 minute.
Just two illustrations to be clear understood. One, the shoreline has been totally destroyed, and you guys won't fix the shoreline in any measure you folks think you guys will be. And that's a lie. And we've known this area since the 70s, being a member from Seymour Shore, at that time as a researcher against the development of any kind that was going on in that area. Secondly, there's been years since the 70s that the community has put out new concerns about against the development in Turtle Bay. Yet the government has been accountable for allowing these types of development to continue on in that area. And as members of our community, we should be even more aware about what's going on in our community. And not having to rely on the government officials to do what they're supposed to be doing. And that's why this government is breaking down big time, and the people around the community now find themselves being put in activity for having to be told out what their desires are. The true desires of the people concerned are all about. That's what we should be looking into even further.
Appreciate it. Okay, any other questions or comments from members of the public in person? We'll go, we'll here, then we'll here, then. So,
Hi there. My name is Jim Comet, born and raised in Kahuku, graduated in 1971. And in 1972, I've been part of the hotel for the last 52 years. And going through all the different owners, this is the first owner that ever came out and said, You guys need new equipment. You guys not getting paid right. And they're gonna fix it up. This year, they already gave the employees a 20% raise. And they're gonna make up the difference next year. So for us, the employees of the golf course, everything is good. But I am for this company because they're looking at doing good stuff for everybody.
Thank you.
I'm my loud enough. I'm Tony Cole, and I'm a resident of Sunset Beach. And I just have a specific question. You mentioned 500 permanent jobs will be created, and how many units? 700 something?
Our units are 350 total.
350? That's a pretty high ratio of jobs to units. And what types of jobs are you talking about?
We have a list, and I'm not sure if it's posted on our website, we can add it, but I mean, we're running a full service hotel in one of the buildings, so it takes a lot of people.
So it's single family homes and one hotel.
Yes. And we're also operating both of the golf courses.
Right, okay, so that includes the golf.
That's correct.
What's the average price? Hang on, sir, hang on, sir. Thank you. We have another person in line. Please go ahead. 1 minute. At the beginning, we board decided to do 1 minute.
Wait till the.
You're not gonna have
If
one.
not, it's only 1 minute. Keep on coming back to ask additional questions. Go ahead.
Okay, my name is Jessica Dos Santos, and I'm speaking on behalf of Kupa'akui Lima, a hui of concerned community members from Olauloa. We respectfully urge Arete Collective to pause any and all construction activities beyond the December 1st pause until the community can rightfully be afforded the opportunity to engage in a formal, transparent public input process facilitated by the DPP. The determination in 2022 did not address many critical environmental and infrastructure crises that have transpired since 1986 and even since the 2013 SCIS and the 2015 Conservation Easement Agreements. We request a process similar to the current standard for new SMA major permits, especially a public hearing and opportunities for public comment and testimony. Similarly, the 1986 unilateral agreement, which outlines the developer's legally binding obligations to the community, contains outdated, unclear, and vague provisions that fail to address our community's current needs and concerns. We ask the developers to demonstrate good faith by pausing construction until these issues can be addressed through a thorough, fair, and updated public input process to revisit the unilateral agreement.
Okay, any other questions from members of the community in person? Sure, right over by the microphone, your name, please, and 1 minute.
Aloha, everybody. My name is Henry Fong. I am a lineal descendant to the area at Turtle Bay. My family's been there since the 1700s. I still own my Kuleana land at Marconi Road or Waikomo Place. So I've been working with Arete for the shoreline restoration that has been neglected by the previous ownership. That site that has been overrun with invasive species, but Arete has recently cleared these out, particularly where the naupaka was planted that I think somebody posted online that they ripped it out and whatever, but it was removed, the invasive species. And then they are continuing the restoration work down towards Keiki Pond. And I know this for a fact because I actually propagated the naupaka that has been replaced, and I plan to continue to work with them to propagate plants just from our area. Oh, yeah. So I just want to let you guys know that, you know, there is good things that come out of this.
Right. Any other questions from members of the public in person? I'm sorry, please come back around.
How much do those units cost that you guys are building? How much is it gonna cost me to buy one of them? Simple question.
Yes.
What are you marketing them for?
As we mentioned last week, we haven't finalized our pricing on the units yet. But I also mentioned tonight that we will have some of
Can
our
you give me a
workforce.
ballpark figure?
As I also mentioned tonight, we will have some of our workforce and our affordable housing units on the site now, and we haven't determined that pricing either.
But how do you know they're affordable if you haven't come up with a price?
We know what the parameters of what were required in the UA to bring it forward for affordable housing.
This is really upsetting to me that I can't get simple information out of you guys. How much you're gonna sell a unit for? You had to write a business plan, come up with a price to get all that stuff going, and you tell me you don't have it?
We haven't finalized it yet, sir, but we will be.
Well, how did you get the money to do all this stuff then, if you don't know what you're doing?
Summarize. Incomplete, you guys. So, okay. We have any other, so we'll go with choose, and we put the assembly, and I'm choosing to the assembly here, and then like that, okay? Then it's back. So 1, 2, 3. You have 1 minute to do.
Okay, we have been through this drill many, many times through the decade. And we do not have any bad feelings against you all because we know you are doing what you and other developers have been doing for a very long time. And the scope is always the same, right? You come in here, you promise, you hire people, I mean, there's all this good marketing tool, which you're doing very well. Congratulations. My worry here is again, that this process has been so messed up. It's been so messed up, so disjointed that the public is still grappling. What just happened to the process? DPP has given go ahead so quickly that those of us who are trying to get a permit to extend a little room, 2 years behind, and we still haven't gotten the permit yet. So there is a lot of questions, and that's why we really need a town hall. We need a resolution to tell us what exactly is happening. There's a lot going on. A lot of questions and no answers.
Hi, Chun, thank you for your comments. I did want to advise that our permits, we've been in for permits for 2 and 3 years.
That's nothing.
I know, but we don't have all our permits either, but nothing's been fast tracked and it hasn't been a quick process. But if you want to check that information is also posted on our website.
Well, in our mind, it has been really fast track because you are a developer. You're not just a single family dwelling. So there is definitely planning. You are the chair of the planning commission, right? You are the chair of the Coconut neighborhood board. You are the LCA community board. So there's a lot of questions we need to ask. And those are not accusation and anything. We just want.
That's fine, but today, okay, the lady, please come to the front. You have 1 minute, please state your name. The lady here, and then.
Aloha, my name is Amber Pinal, resident. I just have a question about the 1986 unilateral agreement. I believe at this first phase, it allows for 2 affordable homes to be purchased and from a renting for the community. Are those 2 affordable homes going to be located in our community or in our vicinity, or is it just anywhere on the island?
No, they have to be located on the North Shore.
Has there been any development on purchasing those 2?
We're working on about 5 different locations, and we're also intending to build some on site. So we don't have any definitive plans, but we're vigilantly working to resolve that.
And then are you asking any of the community on their input where they would like these homes, or is it kind of just?
I would love input from the community on that. We would welcome any input, any ideas, any opportunities. We want to hear all of it because it's tough to find something to develop here on the North Shore.
With all of your phases and the 200 complete units, how many affordable homes does that trigger?
10 on the first project on R3. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Stephanie Fox from right down the road. I'm wondering if you have any plans for sustainable waste management. If you're adding a lot of people, a lot of jobs, there's going to be a lot of more trash.
In our islands, landfills are already full, all of our trash are, which is really bad. Do you have any plans for commercial composting? The bottles you brought today aren't gonna get recycled here. We don't have the infrastructure. We don't have the continent or Utah. We don't have these systems in place. Do you plan on, what do you plan on doing with all this extra waste?
Can I answer that? We're very focused on that too. It's obviously a big concern as Host Hotels and Resorts has a lot of very large sustainable practices in place, and we'll be working together with them to come up with a plan. It's a problem because there isn't recycling here on this side of the island. So we don't have an answer for you yet. Yeah, anywhere. So we're trying to figure out how we can do that within the resort. But it's a great question. Thank you for asking that. Yes, and we are doing that. Sorry, we came with a real water bottle, not the typical process.
Thank you. Sir, please come forward. Yeah, thank you guys. Real quick, I'm not here to take any side or anything. It's, I wear a lot of different hats as well. But I just can only comment to what happened to our program and the success and the love that was shown. I know I've been coaching for over 18 years, and there are so many people that want to jump on a bandwagon and say, oh yeah, we want to do this, we want to do that. It's the very first company that actually was able to purchase 80 helmets that has concussion chips in every single helmet to keep our players safe. That is the top of the line. No other school has that here in the state of Hawaii. Only Punahou now has it as well. But this company was able to step up to be safe. I talked to this company on Thursday. Then on Friday, the order was put in on Saturday. And so I can only speak in behalf of what was graciously given to our program. My comments are, thank you so much for keeping our boys safe and being able to give back to the community and especially our kids.
Thank you.
Very creative.
Yeah.
Then, Ms. Mafori.
We can't clap for coach.
Hello again, Schaefer. I just wanted to point out that when we had that big thing back when the Defender Wall Coalition and North Shore Group was, fighting to keep it overdeveloped, we agreed to have something, right? This is part of that, have something. My only issue is that this one over here and that one over there are the ones you should be coordinating everything with, because then it goes downstream and everybody realizes that you folks are doing what the community needs, this one and that one, because they will let us know what's going on, right? That's all I ask, that you work with them, making sure that all of their questions are being met, and they will funnel it down to other communities. Hey, this group is good. I love that the fact that you have union employees and that you are planning to have 500 representatives. At least that's what I hope, right? But we only can, I get it. We just, it's a sales pitch, but you better than anything else I've heard.
Thank you, Ben.
And right from the very beginning. So thank you.
Sorry, question. Are you not, and with Mo'opuna at Kahuku High School, I care about scholarships too. Are you not giving us some money for scholarships while we're taking helmets? And we have some scholarship money. You protect the brain, we'll educate them.
Right. Yes, we are planning to help with some scholarships at the high school. Thank you.
Answer to that, they did donate the golf course so we could do our annual fundraiser. It was actually the most successful one we've had in 13 years. And they sponsored our presenting sponsorship, which will be at least $25,000 scholarship for the next 20 to 24, 25 year, 25. But yeah.
Let's go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, me. Margaret from Osseo, resident, Red Raider for life. But, the impacts for our community are great. And not all good. One of my questions is, where's all the employees coming from? But more so, what appalls me is that DPP doesn't recognize that the circumstances and the present situation of our Olauloa and the North Shore has changed immensely from the time of those EISs, UAs. And if our politicians are not there to open their eyes and require DPP as legislators to look at this project in its present circumstances in our communities, man, why do we need politicians? You know, the laws are for us. They're not just for developers. So we really need to scrutinize this. And that's why many from Community Association in Kahuku, the North Shore Neighborhood Board 27, realize the impacts that are coming our way for this. Thank you.
I would like to respond to that one. Margaret, nice to meet you. I appreciate those comments a lot. And I wanted just to assure you that we're actually going above and beyond what would be required in a normal EIS. I understand the concern from the community, but we welcome you to come out to the site and take a tour and see what our team is doing. We have kind of taken it up several notches from what would even be required by a government process. So I hope that helps to answer that question. But I think, what was the other part of your question? I'm sorry, the first part.
Oh, it's late.
I know. It's really late for me. It's like midnight. I'm not ever up this late. Yeah. Yes, we do have our traffic consultant here to answer some of those questions. So if anybody has any specific questions, we can respond to that too.
Well, we were all shocked by DOT's comments about maybe not requiring any mitigation in front of Turtle Bay, you know, with whatever's coming.
That's contrary to everything that we understand and what we know we're required to do. We have quite a bit of mitigation for traffic that we are responsible for.
Thank you. I know it may seem like I'm rushing people, but we have a hard stop at 9:30. So we have less than 30 minutes to get through all the questions. So please speaker comments, 1 minute, responses as well. Go ahead.
Okay. So my name is Travis Durr. I've been at Turtle Bay for over 10 years. And so I represent a lot of the staff that work at Turtle Bay Golf and Golf Course and Landscape Maintenance. There's about 80 of us. And so I think what Jim said, that was great. You guys all heard what he had to say, but to add on to that, at least 90+% of our employees are from the olauloa area, which I think is really important. And plus with all the recent wage increases, that's huge for all our people. I see a lot of people that are benefiting from that. And so everybody talks to me about saying like, hey, we don't have good paying jobs up here on the North Shore, so I have to travel into town. Or when I was younger, I had to travel all over the islands or go to different islands to get good paying jobs to pay for my family and support my family in Kahuku or Laie or Haula. And so I just think with added jobs and doing what they're doing now, it's been amazing. And our staff is very appreciative and thankful for everything that they're doing. And yeah, it's kind of like what Sterling said, is like, I can only speak to what they've done in the short time that they've been involved at Turtle Bay, that they've come in, said what they wanted to do, and they've done it. And we're just very appreciative. So they're good people.
Okay. Other questions, sir?
Peter DeGale, Turtle Bay. I'm chair for the union. Our longest guy there is from 1985, Makumichu Patakin. The other one after that is Kenji Patakin, 1992 he started. These people were crying when they heard how many years that they had put in. And they only they make under 30,000. Now they make more than they started to build up. Now I get all these people behind us right now. You know, I cannot stop. People here, all the people here, they love it. And then I can speak up. I got to be meet them in the meeting, we negotiated, we contracted, we ran writing, everything was all good. Still crying.
Class?
Was there any more questions for people who have not?
I just have a question. I just wanted to clarify about the I mean, like, check on question. I can speak loud. I can speak loud. About voice. Kaya ni my family is one of the original families in Kuku. It's a very well-known family.
I just had a question from a native Hawaiian perspective. Want to clarify about the part about hiring local companies. This is during for the 1,000 jobs during the design and construction outfit to local companies. Just wanted to ask if you guys work with the Council of Native Hawaiian Advancement, or you guys working with Native Hawaiian owned companies? Because local is kind of like that's just a term, right? Local. So what are you guys working with this council to figure out like how many of these companies are actually like Hawaiian small businesses because our community? It's a lot of Hawaiians. Like local is like it spans all kinds of people, right? Like someone can say that they're local and they're here only for like a couple months. Oh, I'm a local, right? So I just want to know, have you guys worked with that council? Do you guys know any like small businesses by name, or you guys just because my family also owns a small community maintenance business, so just coming from that, or Hawaiian owned, are you guys actually, I don't think some already know are Hawaiian, not just local people that you're giving jobs to, because like I said, it's kind of a broad speaking, so I just want to.
When I said local, I was talking about the North Shore. We've actually promised to take all the jobs out to the North Shore for 30 days before we try to fill them island-wide or even island archipelago-wide. We do have several Hawaiian companies that we're working with currently right now. We haven't spoken to the council, but that's a great idea. Thank you for offering that up.
You know, so there's it's just like, well, a lot of local companies also outsource. That's another like, huge problem. Like they say they're a local company, but then like I work with like landscapers that are not even from Texas, but it's a local company. So.
Thank you. You can talk with the after if you want to. So, any other questions from members of the public in person? Please come up.
I'd like to speak from here. Thank you about my name. When you look at my face, know that you're not just looking at a young girl. I know I look very young. You're looking at the face of my kupuna. I'm mahalo to Anapalo for saying that you guys cried. You heard what's happening to the workers getting paid so little. Imagine the cries that you could have heard from our people. What are you doing for the Hawaiian community? Although I haven't heard that term, that word, it's like we're uniforms now, right? We don't announce it. So what are you doing for the Hawaiian community? I would also like to be a voice to maybe wake some of our people up. And I totally understand. I want Anakalas to have a good job, to get paid fairly. But there's a deeper root to this cause, which is we're forgetting who are the original stewards of this aina. What makes you guys think you'll be better stewards than me as a Hawaiian, than my people from Hawaii? And I just want to be a voice to maybe people who are afraid to stand up, to be shamed.
Thank you. Please summarize.
So what are you doing for the Hawaiian? Why do you think that you're a better steward of this aina than the actual Hawaiian village?
I definitely don't think that we would be better stewards, but we think we would be good stewards. And it's my hope that we can all work together to heal, because I think that's really what needs to happen nationwide. And I think the AINA is one of the ways that we can potentially do that together. And I'm very passionate about that.
So I would like to also mention that we do not own aina. The aina owns us. And capitalizing of the aina is strengthening the colonization.
Thank you for your comments. We'd like to move on.
You're correct, and mahalo. I would like for that to sit with you, because that wasn't a good enough answer for me. Mahalo.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
This will be any other for the first round. If not said anything, I would like to say something or question.
I didn't get to finish. I did it. I asked the question. I guess
Sure.
no question, but.
Okay, we'll go second. This will be second round then. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, you said you're an attorney. There's a difference between a legal landowner and the current landowner. So, you aren't clear on the completing your pool chain of title. So I would like to rectify that for you guys, because that's what I do. I also wanted to give you guys history on the land that you guys are taking up space and capitalizing on. Well, it was sold in fee simple to Charles Hopkins, who was a land agent of However, what took precedence to that sale was the fact that it was crown lands. And crown lands, all Kanaka
have a 1/3 vested right on that. So you guys like to talk about dates and paperwork, but
Thank you, please
we all
summarize.
have paperwork too. So I wanted to know if you guys understand and will have knowledge on that. Because we're on air, does.
Yeah, we won't have an answer for that tonight, but we can look into it. Thank you for pointing that out.
Okay, going for round two. Okay, Uncle, go right ahead, please. Stand up.
The question for everybody that's in this room. It's connected to a gentleman asked about how much is the unit gonna cost for those that's gonna be moving into your development? We can put in homes that they're gonna build and she's gonna do that, an exact estimate, but we don't know clearly. You don't know clearly. We don't know those that they're gonna build out there. Even the union judge, even the union that back here can define clearly. Most of the people in this room right now will not be able to afford the homes that they're gonna build there. We can't about what's really going on here. Yeah, we talk about the government supposed to be doing what it's doing, and they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. According to what the people are requesting for, and people are being disregarded completely. And that's what's really going on. Who can afford the kind of homes that they're gonna build there? The majority of folks here will not be able to afford that. And that's the question too, folks. That's exactly where it's at. Okay?
Okay, round two. Round two. Oh, sorry, we have a round one person here. Sir, please come to the front, state your name.
Hey. I raised my hand so I can give the closing prayer, so we all. Brothers and sisters, community members, community leaders, and state leaders are here. Thank you so much for being here, for putting up with us. But our communities, this is the best thing to do, is to communicate. But I can assure you where I stand on this. 100% I'm with the project, Ruben. Why? I work there. I need the job. These guys from the state keep raising my property tax. Every year it goes up, sewer goes up, everything goes up. I have to go find a job. If you can get me a job, I would love to. They have raised our pay. And we're grateful for them. We're grateful for the community to put your, but we have some legal system that we can go through. Maybe somebody dropped the ball somewhere along the line.
Thank you.
But we, thank you very much for your time, and have a good night.
Thank you.
So this will be, because we have to get to the online portion of this, I'll take whoever wants to speak, this is your time, or I'll jump to online so we can give them an opportunity.
Melissa,
Yeah, is there anyone else with any questions?
Sorry, you never seen it.
Sure.
How can I go after that?
Right over there.
You gotta dance.
I know. No, I'm not the dancer. My kids. Right. Aloha, everyone. My name is Melissa. My last name is Kau'ono'i Commit. I am here on behalf of my children, my kiki, my mo'opuna, my daughter, who's in Papa'ilima at Ha'ula, in Kaiapuni. She was gonna come at me today. She wanted to testify, but she's sick at home. I talked with her a lot today about what was going on. She's very inquisitive and she wants to learn. She wants to, Mom asking me all these questions. She wants to know the ike, and I give it to her. Whatever I can, I give it to her. And I shared with her and she said, Mom, we gotta let this happen. So regardless of, yes, I am grateful for the jobs, grateful for the whatever, grateful for the things that are given to the school and all that. I'm in education, so I believe in all of those things. However, sustainability and the things that are gonna last. So my daughter, my keiki can go and perform aha. They can do protocol there. They can do these things. It's so important. Our culture. Mahalo everybody for showing up today, and I appreciate all of you.
Okay, is anybody else in person? Yeah.
So,
He will be the last guy, just so you know, he will be the last guy, because we gotta get to the online stream.
the project special management area permit was approved 40 years ago. The DPP permit review in 2022 did not allow for public testimony, nor was the community notified of this in 2022. Irregardless of whether it was required or not, this is unacceptable. In addition to that, the unilateral agreement in its current state is unacceptable. It's unacceptable to the community, and quite frankly, I feel like our community is being disrespected when we ask, please pause the development so that we can work through all of the complexities of the unilateral agreement. I asked this before and I'll ask it again. Doesn't our community deserve better in terms of an updated unilateral agreement that reflects the current needs of our Aina as well as our community? And I would also like to request the Olauloa Neighborhood Community Board put forward a motion to write a letter to support our request outlined in my testimony that and CC all applicable parties, requesting a pause so that we can have adequate community input and a reopening of the unilateral agreement.
Okay, I'll go in the back, you're the last one. I told you. Who wants to speak here, but we gotta get to the online people because they.
I have a question, but I'd rather you go. I don't want to laugh.
Well, let's put it this way. Whoever hasn't spoken, this will be the time now to get you.
I'm Liz Kaili. I'm just trying to go. Just to reiterate, I guess the question that everybody's asking is, what's a price point? Could you say like 5-6 million per unit? Would that be a fair estimate? 6-8 million? What would be a fair price point?
Finalize that, it's in that range, yes.
It is in the range of
Yes.
like 5 to 8
I mean,
million.
our lead of our sales team is here. She's asking me that same question every day. We just haven't finalized.
So, right, so I'll take 2. I'm kidding. So, okay, but like 5 to 8 million is like a range per unit. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and we're hoping to get our affordable housing in the range of 500 to 800,000, somewhere in that range.
Let's go on.
Okay, we're gonna go online.
I just want to expand on what they said over there about all these great things that they're doing. That's a beautiful presentation, by the way. We're actually at a Hawaiian Medium Education School here on the North Shore. Obviously, with 20 school, everything's fine a little late. I'm just speaking from experience. People like to take pictures with us and give us things because they want to be like, oh, we did something for the Hawaiian people. Take a picture of me. Just remember, in our history, this has been ongoing all the time. It's like people from outside, they throw us a bone and they say, hey, be happy with this. But remember, later on down the line, it's going to bite us in the butt. Remember that. That's been in our history over and over and over and over again. So speaking from my family alone, my family also moved because of the golf course. Everybody getting pushed out. We're always getting pushed out, right? Because they're promised money. That's what happens, right? The money is okay right now, but then you sell your soul. You sell your soul to the opposite. You know, I mean, I don't want to say the devil, but to the opposite party, right? So just remember that, like, home with is nice and everything. I'm glad you guys all are happy with those things, but it's more than that. It's like telling that side of you, that connection to your, you know. And I don't want to see that happen again because that already happened to my people now. Just remember that.
Thank you. Yeah, you want to say something now?
Yeah, first I'd like to apologize for being so aggressive to you guys. Okay? Because the youth really has an impact in this brain. If we teach our youth, okay, how to make $100,000 a year with a micro farm, which is very possible, okay? $100,000 a year. And we got 600 acres, we get 600 kids, 100 grand a year. How much is that? Billions. That's how much the kids are losing when we're not training them how to use the agricultural land instead of it just sitting out there being mismanaged and not making any money.
Ben, if not repetitive, if you have something new to add, please.
So I agree with Sunny that they need to do that, Jessica, that they need to do another resolution to update what you just talked about. Yeah, the UA. And so I'd like to recommend it, and actually that could have been done in the very beginning when they first came in, and all of this thing would have been finished already.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, we're moving to online. Evelyn, I know you've been having your hand up and you've patiently waiting for the last hour and a half, so we will go with you and then to Anna and then Casey after that.
Thank you. Yeah, it's 2:30 over here. So I wanted to again reiterate that the Supreme Court rule has so many issues in there about how the Department of Planning and Permitting disregarded their requirement to seek out the concerns that our community is having, and were acting in a capricious way, and that if that happens, that we can get a supplemental EIS. And if we look at that as a group, look at that lawsuit and see what the judge said when he changed the decision from the intermediate court. The same thing is happening right now. We're being ignored by the Department of Planning and Permitting. They are not looking outside of the community to see the impacts, and timing is not a reason not to do it. It's one to do it, and looking at the greater community. And in spite of the development, even if it wasn't Turtle Bay, if it was any other development, they really need to look outside the community because we have such big environmental impacts. Houses are falling into the sea on this side of our community. And to build out more and not have roads for us to escape tsunamis on because we're too impacted by too many cars, it's not fair. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Casey, please proceed. You have 1 minute.
Yeah, quickly, I would love for you to look at the safety. The road, we need an emergency evacuation. Again, in 2012, it's not just who's getting out of Turtle Bay. For us in Hauula and in Punaluu, we could not go Kaneohe. It was bumper to bumper. We had to go up towards Turtle Bay, and that was very slow moving. And that was in 2012. So if there's a close-in tsunami and if there is a fire, maybe you guys at Turtle Bay will get out, but you'll kill the rest of us. We will get stuck. So we really need you to look at the emergency evacuation and the road. What is the carrying capacity? And also you need to look at the tsunami, the top tsunami expert in the world. Have you looked at her study, Barbara Keating Hensley? She had written on Kahuku and said, do not build there. It is too dangerous with your geology. She's done a whole study on that. And she was head of the World Tsunami Institute. So I can't understand why you're putting everyone at risk with this development. And I beg you to look at it, food and water with SARS, with COVID, with anything, if we're cut off, we do not have enough food and water already. And with putting more people in. So those are the 3 points with safety. Thank you. Mahalo.
Okay, there was I believe Anna Baldwin wanted to hold her comments till later. There was a comment in the chat regarding a bag full of zip ties that were found on the fence. Calorete collected physics explained the small trash bag full of plastic zip ties that I collected along the fence line. This was right in front of Katy Cove, less than 20 feet from the ocean.
It's the first we've heard of it. Yeah, sorry.
Okay, please get into that. Okay, is there any other comments from members of the community online?
I can chime in. This is Anna. I had posted about the zip ties. So yeah, I know we're near the end of the call. It's been long. I just want to reiterate my concerns. I hear Arate Collective talking about how they're sustainable and they have all these sustainable practices, yet you see the construction, you see their track record. Just look at that Civil Beat article. And I myself collected, like I said, that trash bag of zip ties along their fence line. And so it's just, you say one thing and then do another. And as a community, we're asking you to pause on the development until things become clear. So I just am reiterating what I think many community members have been saying. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, it is now 9:25. We have 5 minutes left to get this thing done. So, board member,
Could I
we
ask
have,
one more question? I wasn't allowed an opportunity in the first round.
we'll give you one more question.
Um, with uh, uh, with regards to that very issue of the trash and the impact of the environment, I really wonder what your intention really is for our community and how you would, if you really cared about what you were doing, that you would submit yourself to an EIS and follow the proper guidelines, because you don't know as an outsider what really the environmental impact is. And I think that as somebody coming to our community who wants to be our neighbor should at least do what everybody else would have to do to get their job done.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, board members, we have a couple minutes left here to.
Do we have, wasn't there another presentation?
We have
Did
two
we
more
have two?
presentations. Sunny would be next for Bill 64.
Can we do?
Really quick.
Okay, let's, sure, we got.
But, do we need to make a motion about some of the requests?
So, I guess now that we're done with the presentation, we can make a motion for an action. It's up to the board. I will entertain any motions that you both have.
I make a motion that we not take action because it sounds like there's a lot more groundwork that needs to be done. And I think a lot of stuff was brought up. And if there is a resolution through Matt or any of those. And so I think we would always want to be kept in the loop, but my motion would be to not make a motion tonight, to not take an action tonight, because I think it would be premature.
Do we have a second for that motion?
I agree. And plus, it says on our agenda, like anything that impacts has to be on the agenda. Can you read that part on the end?
Which part are we talking about?
Could I suggest that maybe the neighborhood board, write a letter to that line officially as a board to, consult with the community, start the conversations with the UA, that agreement, putting forth a resolution, something like that.
Yeah, so you could do a verbal, like agreement to that, but we would have the official letter, we would have to have it on next agenda, which. Because we didn't have agenda, but we can agree to that. There's nothing stopping that. Yes. Right. So.
Yeah.
So, would you?
Yeah, we usually have
the community.
Yeah, this board has historically deferred to the community prior to making a decision.
Before we do.
But because of August and their open house, that's why we put it before our planning and permitting team. I made a safe rule.
Well, we've asked them to come to our association meetings, but they deferred at least a couple of times. So that's why we wanted to see if people to come to our association meeting.
Okay, so what is the pleasure of the board here? We have kind of a motion not to decide.
I like to not decide, defer to council.
Okay.
We did that with HRI to my EA.
Right, why are they
having conversation?
And I think there's a community discussion about having their talking to.
But if they could agree to come to our association, that could be a different step.
Right. So, position-wise, board members, would you like to take a position?
No.
We have a motion not to make it a, just follow appropriately, but to not make an action. That's been seconded.
The agenda.
Okay,
Like even if we did it,
yeah.
it's not adequately agenda as according to our.
Okay. So, any action? Okay, sorry.
I guess so the board is deferring to have them come to the
See you first. And you guys take a shot.
So I guess I could refer to them or to contract with the association.
So if they don't come to the meeting, at that point, we can do a resolution. Okay.
It would come back to us after that. Yeah, it would come back to us after, and then we can do that because in but in most cases.
Yeah.
Okay, do we have an agreement? More or less, okay, so the motion is to not make any action, but to defer to the full committee association.
And we're trying to see.
Okay, so do I have a first and a second, so let's make the motion, let's make it official.
To defer to the, but invite them to
Action.
our meeting here, and then we,
Okay, can you vote that motion?
I don't think I can. It's too late.
We can't even.
Oh, we did it tonight.
Sorry, guys.
So the resolution is to defer to the group
And give it.
of community association, to invite the community association to our,
No, to invite Arete
to
theirs.
theirs, okay, got it.
Is there a second? Do I have a second?
Is Arate going to pause so you guys are just?
So this is more discussion. Do we have a second? Okay, we have a second. Do I have any objections? Any reservations? Okay, hearing seen done, that's the action we will take. This does not mean it is off the table for us by any means. The board members, moving forward, we have to defer everything else. Board members, do I have we're already over time. Do I have a motion to defer everything else to January?
Yes.
Second.
We're over time.
Oh, gosh.
She's got to get home.
Oh, it's like next week hearing, can I just make it really, really quick?
Okay.
Okay, so Bill 64 is currently going through the city council, and within that, the step back is being considered. The current law or regulation is 1-to-1 step back. So we've been following this for 4 years to fight to increase the setback. We've made so much progress, and we have the 1.25 in the current committee draft. What we're trying to propose is to kind of add a little bit more clarity. So what we're asking is no grandfathering clause. So meaning any existing projects, if they were to renew their power purchase agreement or amend, they have to comply with the new ordinance, which is the 1.25 setback. So because we've been fighting with developers in HECO that wanted to have a grandfathering clause, which will allow existing turbine projects in Kahuku to operate indefinitely forever and ever in their existing spots. First Wind had also asked to allow their blade size to increase to 7%. And then the max, they capped it at 575 feet, which means our 568 feet turbine can increase up to 578 if they need to replace the blade or whatever component. So what we are suggesting as KCA is that we have a maximum cap at 568, not allowing AES to be any bigger and higher than they already are, because it's too big and too close already. And then in the section G2, we want to add that this does not allow them to violate the 1-to-1 ratio. So AES had put in a variance request, unbeknownst to our community, and we found out later, there are 2 turbines that are placed closer to the 1-to-1 turbine, 285 feet and 372 feet from the property line, which is very close, has a lot of safety concerns. We are literally living in the shadows of these turbines because we have homes that are impacted with shadow flicker and such. Tommy Waters' chair is trying to propose his amendment, which is trying to increase the shadow flicker for 30 minutes per day per year. So, and then the noise as well. So what we're trying to do is to keep Kia Aina's committee draft limited to 10. Ideally, we would like 0, no shadow flicker, but 10 is better than 30. So to support the 1.25-mile setback, no grandfathering clause, if they are to increase their blade size, it cannot violate the 1-to-1. And yeah, no, the cap at 568 feet. So I'm asking the Olauloa Neighborhood Board to support KCA and our community in submitting testimony in the next hearing on the 21st, right? 21st, and then the council meeting in December 11th, and any subsequent hearings in support of our testimony. That's it. Any questions?
Okay.
Can I make a motion, John?
So yeah, first and foremost, because the bill 64, which was originally 2010, which was originally heard in the planning commission while I was on there, I have to recuse myself. But you guys have majority without me, so I will recuse myself, but please make the motion.
Can I make a motion?
Yes.
I make a motion that we totally support Kahuku Community Association. This is a matter of health and welfare.
You have a second?
Sorry, I have a question.
Yeah.
So is there no discussion on the topic? I mean, we spent the whole meeting on
Yeah.
one topic, and so is
Right.
there
So
discussion on it
here's
at
the
all?
situation, we're already over time.
Right, but
Right.
all I'm saying
So
is,
she's trying to fast track this through, and if you have objections to this, then sure, the voice now, but if we don't get this done, then there'll be we won't have another meeting until next year. So this will not have we will not be able to have our voice heard at council supporting KCA.
so I don't object to it overall, it's just the process. Because again, the way that it came up, it's being fast tracked. And I can't say that I know enough about it. Obviously, most of us are opposed to the turbines, but the 1 or 2 minute spiel that I just thought right here, right, I feel like, again, if they're 2 feet. No, I don't want to ask questions.
Because we're trying to.
I'm just saying that the process is a little.
May I have some questions?
I don't know, I know what I'm saying. So the process for me,
But don't, honestly, are you okay with the increased setback? Because
I don't know enough in what I'm saying.
So, well, just to keep the process going, Sonny, we have to do it the right way or we're gonna have issues because it won't count. Somebody could bring something up and our result would get tanked. So what?
I agree. Can I just interject?
Sure.
Everybody here is talking about the importance of process. So if we are asking process to be followed for one development in all fairness, we should look, understand, share your manao on this. And I'm sorry, Sonny.
like a little bit of time to address.
So Sonny, he's gotta go home, but Sonny, what you can do is you can submit your letter and individual members of the neighborhood board could sign it along with you. I couldn't do it as a board, so we could do that. I'm sorry, this is overtime by a lot, but board members, I need a motion to defer everything else on this agenda.
I motion to defer.
I second.
Okay, we have a second. Do I have any objections, reservations? Hearing none. Okay, thank you. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone. We'll see everyone in the new year.
That's why.